Alright, welcome back to Noah's Ark, where we're saving everybody from this bloodbath. I see YouTuber after YouTuber after YouTuber commenting about all this crap. Like, did you guys see what just happened? There was a dump. And it's like, yeah, we called it on this channel. Where were you? Anybody can say, oh, there was a dump. Yeah, we called the dumps. Called all three of them. And there's continued bloodshed, and so I'm just gonna cover that. Obviously, we're still dumping. I told you guys we were still dumping. I told you guys stay out of the markets. So congratulations to our community. I was trying to cost base average into Cardano last night, but it won't dump. People know what they got. Alright, let's go to a clean chart. This one's alright, but I'm going to just go on a clean chart. I'm going to really go over the macro, then I'm going to go over the micro. Let's see, let's go to this one. This one doesn't have a lot of liquidity, but it'll do. Alright, so you might be seeing me use this tool a lot, and this is just because this is the tool we have to use. Is even the right amount of liquidity? Look, that's the ginormous scam. Like, yeah, obviously the price didn't come down that low. I don't know, we're running out of charts. We go over so much information on this channel, literally against every other channel. I don't even know if there's a chart that we can use, because we've already drawn on all our other charts. I guess this one works. And I thought we had a Kraken chart drawn, and then on Bitcoin we have one drawn on Ethereum, and then I don't know where that went. And that one was incredibly good. Alright, so you guys see me use this a lot. Like I say, there's stupid amount of reasons why we're the best channel on the internet. Besides the fact that we called every single dump perfectly and told you that we were going to continue to dump. Besides that, there's a lot of reasons why we're the best. One of the reasons is because we use the tools for the job. You see me use this a lot. This is the tool we have to use for the job. This is really a good idea of where we're at. So this is going to be in the short term. And there's a lot of people panicking, and it's because of a lot of reasons. But I was really annoyed this morning. I wake up and my cell phone's blowing up. People are like, Bitcoin's dumping. What are you going to do? I'm like, I don't care. I really don't care. I have my HODL position that I got into. I put a massive amount in at 10,000. And I'm not in any trades right now. I told my community I'm not in any trades. I told my community not to enter into any trades. I mean, my bags are fine. I really could care less. And people are like, what are we gonna do? It's dumping. And it's like, if you guys have no clue what you're doing, you probably shouldn't be investing to begin with. Is like the whole thing. Like, everybody walks into the space, and I say it every single time. I say anybody's an expert, when every trend is in the bull run, when every single trend is like favorable, then everybody's making money and everybody thinks they're an expert and, oh, I'm so smart. And then we see a little tiny dump and everybody's whining and all the big channels aren't covering it. And now there's this whole thing with Bill Gates, and people don't even know what goes on in the world, which is they just got lucky or whatever and they're invested in Bitcoin. If you didn't see my 3-hour lecture on my financial papers that I wrote, go check that out. That's an introductory to finances. That's a very basic introductory to finances. It's 3 hours. There's nothing on the entire internet that comes even close to that. I said we were the most underrated crypto channel. We're also the most underrated finance channel by far. Like I said, there's no book you can read. You can't go to college and learn this stuff. A lot of this stuff is so new with finances, with the fractional reserve getting taken off, and now it's a no reserve limit, working with negative interest rates. All these things are advanced concepts that you can't go to college to learn. And there's nowhere on YouTube, there's no books you can read. I cover a few financial papers that I wrote on that 3 hour lecture that I made. So go check that out. It's called Hyperinflation Depression, and it's just an extreme introductory course to finances. If you don't understand that and you're worried about this, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You don't know, you don't have the education to even be involved in the space to begin with, and your gains are lucky. But on top of that, there's another video I made called War, what is it? War, inflation, banking, and that's an extremely condensed introductory to how the world operates with money, and those are all very relevant to what's going on right now with Bill Gates. Is Bill Gates fighting the prices? Uh, who was it? Elon Musk, is he fighting the price? He's not fighting the price. Bill Gates is not fighting the price. They're suppressing the price. Every OG knows that. Every single legendary OG screams from the rooftops. Don't listen to the institutions. Do what they do, not what they say. That's a legendary OG phrase that we get a lot. And only because I'm an OG and I'm also one of the smaller channels. So a lot of people can't say like half of the stuff I say. Like the news outlets, they're going to lie to you. Your president, they're going to lie to you. Everybody's going to lie to you. The institutions are going to lie to you. Elon Musk is going to lie to you. Every single person. Your entire life is a lie. Let's just be honest on this channel. Your entire life is literally a lie, and everybody's going to lie to you and say, oh, this and that. They're trying to FUD the price of Bitcoin because they know that at this point it's very clear that it's going to be the reserve currency. And, everybody in power wants it to be the reserve currency. What they don't want is they don't want a massive spike. They don't want it to hit 100,000 tomorrow and then come crashing down. They want it to have some crashes, continue going up slowly, so it looks good on their balance sheets as they continue to add it to their balance sheets. People are like, how do you know this stuff? How do you know all this stuff? Because on social media, I have a legendary uh, investing portfolio with real estate, with stocks, with everything else. And then on top of, I just made legendary calls on everything in finance and have probably the best portfolio out of anybody, because when everybody was in crypto in 2019 getting liquidated, I was making 500% returns in real estate. Not on that year alone, but we'll go over that. I mean, I went over it multiple times on other media sites, but we'll go over it. But what you guys got to understand is everybody's lying to you. Everybody's lying to you, and they've been doing it since the beginning. If you're not smart enough to figure it out, this channel's for the people. There's an unimaginable amount of reasons why we're the best channel on the internet. Like, yeah, we called the price action, and we're the only channel on the internet to do that. Yeah, we did, we told you exactly what to get, all the best performing, whatever. Yeah, we declassified our portfolio. Yeah, we told you, all the best trades to make. Yeah, that's cool, but we're also genuine on this channel. We're also not going to lie to your face on this channel. And that's, people don't realize that they're getting lied to. Bill Gates is fighting the price on purpose. He wants to suppress the price. He knows this is the future. Do you really think that somebody, Bill Gates, that was a big internet guy. He was one of the founders in the internet. Do you really think he doesn't understand blockchain technology? He's like the biggest nerd ever, and and because of that, he freaking hates people and is trying to take over the planet and depopulate everybody because people called him a nerd. Do you really think he doesn't understand blockchain technology? Do you really think that he's not invested? Do you really think that when Mark Cuban said that cryptocurrency is a scam, when he was one of the first people to get into the internet back when it first started, do you really think that he doesn't understand blockchain technology? How does he go from not knowing anything about it to saying it's going to be bigger than the internet? How does JP Morgan say that it's the worst investment ever and it's a scam, and then come out a year later and say that it's the best investment anybody could ever make and it's going to 140,000? You got to understand they're lying to you. They're lying to you. They literally just look it up. Look at what they've said. Elon Musk is like, Bitcoin, what's that? When we know he was talking about Ethereum years before it. They're lying to you. And I really thought about it on this channel, and I'm like, I have such a small audience, and I'm a billionaire playboy philanthropist. I'm like, you know, a genius. Let's make the best situation out of what we got. And if I was any other channel, I would get shut down. If I was the news, I would get shut down. If I was anybody else, I would get shut down. But because I have such a small audience, and we're for the people on this channel, which you cannot take for granted, um, I'm gonna tell you the truth. All right. So that's really the truth. And they want to scare you out of your Bitcoin. They really do. Because once they start adding it to their balance sheet and it becomes the world reserve currency, which I never thought was the case. I really didn't think that this was going to be, I was like, oh, it's going to be digital gold. There's no way. Blah blah blah. They're gonna come out with something else. They're gonna scam everybody. They're gonna have it be Bitcoin to start developing the Bitcoin technology, and then it's gonna be something else. That's what I thought. But I mean, it's really on you if you think that Bill Gates, the richest person and one of the most educated, tech-savvy people on the planet, doesn't understand Bitcoin. That's on you if you interpreted Elon Musk saying Bitcoin. Well, that sounds like an interesting proposition. When he was talking about Ethereum years before, and he was like, "So what can we build on Ethereum?" Well, if he knows about Ethereum, he obviously knows about Bitcoin. He said multiple times that he had friends. Who are his friends? Like Bill Gates, what is it? Bill Gates is his friend. Jeff Bezos is his friend. Everybody's like, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk hate each other. That's like the Democrats and the Republicans. Guys, it's a show. It's all a show, guys. They're lying to you. They've been lying to you. They'll always lie to you. But yeah, and all of a sudden, magically, Amazon wants to get involved. All of a sudden, Twitter, wants to get involved, which Jack Dorsey's already been with Square. But I'm telling you guys, this is nothing to worry about. They're fudding the price. They're trying to shake out weak hands. And they want to control as much of this stuff as they can. It's a limited supply. They know exactly what they created. Oh, and yeah, they created it. That's the other thing. You really think that, some random person named Satoshi Nakamoto that's now a billionaire that hasn't withdrawn a single penny is a normal person? You think it's even one person? It's like when the military developed the internet back when it was declassified. A lot of these new technologies, they're around for a long time, and then they just get released to the public, and we've known about this stuff for a long time. But let's see. So that's more the macro right here. Do I want to look at anything else? But yeah, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. I mean, I always am, but I'm like, I really just need to come on here and tell people the truth, because that's really all they need to hear right now is the truth. And the truth is that they purposely, if you haven't heard of Event 201, then you might watch CNN, and that's fine. Watch CNN, real facts, eh? But Event 201 is when they planned the coronavirus. They had a John Hopkins University. They planned the whole thing. They tanked the economy. They destroyed the economy. They're printing the crap out of the currency. It's obviously all the money is going into Bitcoin. Guys, wake up. Wake up. It's time to wake up. Wakey, wakey. Eggs and bakey. And people are like, oh, so he's a conspiracy theorist. I don't like conspiracy theories. I think conspiracy theories make, the real facts look bad, but Event 201 is not a conspiracy theory. It's a university study where the John Hopkins University uh, figured out what would happen if there was a coronavirus released before it happened. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a fact. That's a study that happened by John Hopkins University. They knew what they were doing. They knew that we were on a debt-based system. They knew that that would crush the economy. They knew that they would cancel out balance sheets. They knew that they would make the liability columns because like most people have no clue how finances work. And when you have no clue how finances work, and when you have no clue how the real world works, how real money works, how everything's planned, then you're just clueless and you're like, okay, so what? There was a lockdown. Well, not so what, because these companies borrow money called leverage to operate. Every single major company does. So when you put them in a lockdown and they're forced to not have revenue, they can't pay off their debts and they go under. That's how these massive industries go under so quickly. It's because these big Fortune 500 companies that are planning all this, they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly the chinks in the armor, and they're purposely blowing them and then forcing these stimulus packages. And they know that it's not a $1 trillion stimulus package. They know it's $100 trillion stimulus package, and they know exactly what they're doing. And they know the Fed's just going to keep printing it right into oblivion. The United States dollar, there's only two options with the Fed: print or lower interest rates. Or, basically, QE, QT, baby. Quantitative easing, quantitative tightening. They had the whole playbook right in front of them. And I know because it was their biggest fear the whole time. Well, what happens if, something like this was to happen? And then they purposely did, their biggest fears and crashed the markets when they left them. And they loaded up all their money into here. If you don't think Bill Gates is investing in Bitcoin, you're insane. You're literally insane if you don't think that Bill Gates is investing in Bitcoin. Like, you have to understand, and like I said, if you don't understand finances, I put a 3 hour. I'm not shilling it. It has like 13 views. It's probably gonna have like what 20 views if like 7 of you guys look. I could care less about the difference between 10 to 20 views. It's for you guys. I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart. You're not going to read a book. You're not going to go to college. You're not going to find it anywhere. You're not going to find it in college. You're not going to find it reading a book. You're not going to, the thing is, like, people don't even understand, like, the whole college thing. And I was going to school to be a doctor, top of my class, dropped out with a 3.6 GPA. And I know I'm not crazy because I had a 4.0 taking psychopathology, which is the advanced psychology studies of mental health, and what we would call in the field that I'm hyper educated on. What is it? Abnormities and disorders. So, but you're not going to find that education anywhere else. I'm not shilling it out. I'm really just trying to help you. If you don't understand finances, I did a 3 hour video where you can learn a lot of what you need to know in the basic understanding of it. But Bill Gates, yeah, he understands that there's going to be hyperinflation. And if you think that he's going to go from having $100 billion to $100 billion in like 10 years from now is going to be worth substantially less. We know that is an absolute fact. So if you don't think that he's putting some of his money into Bitcoin because, there's only so much real estate and there's pros and cons to every single asset class. But if you don't think he's diversifying into Bitcoin then you're literally just insane. It's not like a conspiracy theory. It's not like anything. You're literally just insane. It's like, when they lied to us about how bad the coronavirus is, and now everybody's freaking out, and, there's all these problems with it. I mean, I wear a mask, I comply, there's no reason not to. I mean, they won at this point. They have full control over all major assets. And really what they're trying to do is they're trying to drain the entire economy into this as the reserve currency, and then they're trying to build on these decentralized platforms a whole economic system that can't be reverted or subverted. So they have complete and utter control over the entire populace. That's the whole point of blockchain, if you haven't figured it out yet. Yeah, so I mean, the people lost. The people lost a long time ago. And everybody's being forced into the whole blockchain thing. And yeah, the reason that like blockchain is so important to them is because, like, let's say, you're like outraged with all the stuff that's about to happen over the next few years with hyperinflation. There's nothing you can do about it because you can't hack the computers, you can't stop the computers, you can't stop any of it. They have complete control over everything with blockchain. You're forced into the system, and if you don't like it, too bad. It's like with Bitcoin. They're going to have all the wealth into it, and then if you don't like that, too bad. If you lose a transaction, too bad. If you want more money, too bad. They want absolute complete control. And I mean, they already have it with all the puppets, running the shadow government, which, if you don't know about that stuff, like, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democratic. It's a show. It always has been. The only real debate should have been whether we should have gone and had Congress have control over the money supply, or whether it should have stayed with the Fed. The only thing should have been, do we keep a fractional reserve lending, or do we nationalize it? Like, all the real issues, they never gave to you. They never cared about your opinions. They're not going to tell you this on CNN, but they never cared, not for a second. They never cared about whether you care about gay people or not. They never cared. They never cared about anything, any of your opinions. They weren't worth anything. They never have been. They never will be. It's like, why has man been enslaved for the last 200,000 years? Like, most people, when they wake up, they have to go to work. They have to do stuff. Like, why is that? Because the history of the history of economics with monetary policy, it's like, you look back to the Romans. What happened with the Romans? They inflated silver, they inflated gold. How did they do that? They took the gold and they actually watered it down so that there was more gold. So they took gold coins, and everybody knows this stuff. I'm telling you, everybody knows this stuff. If you don't know this stuff, then you're just brain dead, or at the very least extremely ignorant. And I'm just going to tell you the truth. There's a lot of channels, they'll literally get like destroyed if other channels tell you the truth, because they're so big. And what is it called? Big Brother's going to come in and be like, hey, you can't. They don't care what you say. It's freedom of speech until you start waking people up. Once you start saying all the real stuff, like, they don't care about the whole tinfoil hats, whatever. Once you start saying the real stuff, that's what pisses them off. And that's when, it's like, hey, the show's going to go on. We'll just take you out real quick. Insert JFK. I mean, that was a tragedy. But, I mean, it's real. Last time they tried to stop the central bank, which was the second central bank, because there was three of them. As we talk, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's history. They don't really teach you that. They don't really go over, the fact that they tried to assassinate Andrew Jackson because he tried to stop and successfully stop the second central bank. That's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory that, back in Vietnam, you had what's called the Gulf of Tonkin incident with the U.S. Maddox ship, and it was declassified in 2003 that the Gulf of Tonkin, United States, what was it, naval ships shot at Vietnamese troops, and when they returned fire 3 days later, they sunk their ships and declared war on the Vietnam people. Why'd they do that? Well, they told the public that the Vietnam ships attacked them. What the official report was the United States used warning shots. Well, this was conveniently after, like, if you're familiar at all with John F. Kennedy, he was highly, highly against warfare. Regardless, I'm not a hippie or whatever. Regardless, um, right when he was assassinated, the next guy was obviously very, very willing to go in against the entire country. And it's kind of that whole shadow government kind of idea where it doesn't really matter what you think. And Vietnam's a really good example of that. They lied to the public about what really happened. It got declassified in 2003. It's now public information. There's no conspiracy theory about it. They lied to the public. It's public information. It was declassified in 2003, the Gulf of Tonkin incident. None of this stuff I'm saying is conspiracy theories. It's all public information. It just is whether you're educated or not, whether you're intelligent enough to not believe CNN. And so and it goes back to the whole Bill Gates thing. They want to consolidate the price. They want to drop the price. They want to make sure that this thing stays as low as it can go until blast off, because they know there's going to be a blast off, and they want to make sure that these areas around where one of their lead guys and like they've been pushing the whole EV agenda for so long. If you think who is it, Elon Musk just magically predicted electric cars and everything, you're sadly mistaken. It's like, why is he focused on space travel? Why is he focused on, they're pushing their agendas. They're pushing their agendas. They want all cars to be like electric. They want them all to be self-driving. They want AI technology so that the humans aren't as useful anymore and they take the human jobs. And then there are conspiracy theories that say that once the AI takes over, like once we have enough AI technology, that they're just going to nuke the human race and just survive the elites. And until then, what they've been talking about for years, I mean, this information got declassified years ago, is that they're trying to, use blockchain technology to enslave humanity. They're going to hyperinflate the system. They're going to make it so impossibly high to buy a house. It's going to be so expensive to buy a house. That's why all the elites, if you go on the World Economic Forum, people are outraged. The World Economic Forum is solely like a group of the wealthiest people on the planet, and they basically talk about what they're trying to do. Like they literally put their agendas publicly, but like the public, like all the information's out there. It's literally just the fact that a lot of these guys, like Americans, they're just not smart enough to figure it out. They want to live in their like little shallow reality. But what it says on the World Economic Forum is it says you will own nothing and be happy about it, essentially, is what it says. And how are you going to own nothing? Well, if you have a job, and I talk about this a lot, if you have a job and you have a wage, let's say you make 100,000, 200, let's say you make $200,000 a year. That's fine. As the economy starts to inflate and you go from making 200,000 to 180 to 160, and you're like, whoa, I make 200,000. Well, factor it in for inflation. Like I said, there's a double top on the DXY, and the dollar's projected to, in the relatively short term, and at least this year, it's projected to drop to 74%. So a total of losing 30% of its value. So if you have $100,000 an hour or $100,000 a year job, and then the currency hyperinflates, you're only making $70,000 a year. At the same token, because the currency is inflating rapidly, and because there's only a relatively finite amount of houses, the prices on those houses are going to continue to go up. And so you're making less money on salary and all the assets are going up. Soon you're not going to be able to buy the assets. Soon you're going to have to lease the assets, rent the assets, and that rent's going to increase. And hopefully by that time you're on universal income, which is what the government's trying to push out when they talk about communism. This isn't a conspiracy theory. I mean, go watch that 3-hour lecture that I made on finances, because if you don't even understand, zero negative interest rates, and if you don't even understand quantitative easing and quantitative tightening, and the no fractional reserve system that we're on right now, then and you say something as ignorant as, oh, this is a conspiracy theory. It's like, just because somebody's more educated than you on a topic, and this is what I always have to talk about, just because somebody's more educated on a topic doesn't mean that they're crazy or that they're wrong. They might just know so much more about the subject that you can't even follow. And I think that's going to be a large portion of my audience, but that's fine. I still have to tell you what's going on. I still have to inform everybody. And like I said, I had a 4.0 in psychology. We can pull up my college transcripts when I dropped out with a 3.6. I'm not crazy. I studied, and aced all my tests, all my essays where I had to write about psychosis, and that's the main thing when people say crazy. It's a really messed up system, saying that somebody's crazy, because a lot of times it's a mental illness, and it's a lot of times what we study, what they'll teach you in college, is that it's genetic, it's caused by stress, it's caused by these outsized factors, and it's just it's just a really sad and inconvenient thing. So to say something as derogatory as, oh, this guy's crazy, it's like if you were to say to somebody, oh, you're like whatever, like, oh, you broke your leg. Like, they can't control it. They can't control if they had, the genetics. That's called it's called nature versus nurture. I'm not going to get into psychology, but yeah, I had a 4.0 in psychology. I mean, I could have easily became a psychologist if not, I was going to be a pharmacist, top of my class, but I had to drop out because of everything that was going on in the economy. And now I'm about to retire with crypto, because I did real estate previously. But and I know more about real estate than crypto, and everybody's like, you're the biggest crypto expert, you've outperformed every crypto expert. I know. But so, it's just really it's a derogatory, and it's an inappropriate term to call somebody crazy, and the media just loves to do that. If anybody goes against what they're saying, oh, he's crazy, oh, okay, he's crazy. I had a 4.0 in psychology. What specific diagnosis are you trying to present to him? Because when people say crazy, there's like bipolar. There's a lot of different. There's bipolar. I'm trying to think, because I was in college a little bit ago. Well, I have my textbook memorized. There's like borderline personality disorder. There's a lot of different disorders, but when people say crazy, they're most likely talking about like a psychosis type delusional thinking. And if there's all these facts in front of you, and they're in your environment, and you're not looking at them, and you're not appraising them correctly, and it's harmful to your future well-being, well then, as somebody that has the credentials in psychology to diagnose people, the crazy people are the people that aren't understanding what's going on in the world right now, because they have the facts in front of them. It is affecting their daily life. They're constantly holding on to their own belief system, which we talk about as like being a cognitive miser. So I mean, I don't want to get into it too much, but yeah, the psychologist can't really say that a lot of these guys are crazy, but these guys are definitely insane. And with psychosis, with delusional thoughts, and just holding on to their belief system, they're being lied to by the government. And like, when we say the government, what exactly do we mean by that? So it's not like actually the government. Like, the government's not like some magical, special, secret entity that is like evil and is out to get everybody. So it's called the shadow government, and the reason and how it's set up, how it works is you have the bankers who have been in charge and have had wealth for the longest time. And we're not going to go back too far in history, but the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and every time you say those names, people are like, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory. It's a well-known fact that they were the wealthiest people on the planet, and they still have their wealth. Those are both two well-known facts. But regardless, these guys throughout history have shown multiple times, and read the book Creature from Jekyll Island, when it used to be a conspiracy theory in the 50s and the 60s that John Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan started the Federal Reserve, And then they wrote about it in their autobiography. So if they're writing about it in their autobiography and everybody knows that's the case, how is it a conspiracy theory if they're admitting it and everybody on the planet is admitting it? Well, it's obviously not a conspiracy theory. Anybody that doesn't believe that is actually just delusional and holding on to their own little shallow belief system. But so you have John Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan throughout history, multiple times they go up to politicians and they say, "Hey, I'm gonna pay you $1 million to get this thing called fractional reserve lending, which I've been doing illegally. Not me, but J.P. Morgan for the last 50 years. I'm gonna have you pass that law, and I'll give you $1 million." And for him, that's not a lot of money. So he gives them $1 million. The politician is like, "Yeah, I mean, I'd rather take $1 million because I'm selfish and I don't really care about the people." And then it's called lobbying, and they lobby and get it passed. And that's how the government works. So it's not really the government itself is evil. It's not like the capital is like haunted and like there's like bad entities and like no, the people that are politicians are very easily they're money whores and they're extremely unethical and they take massive donations from it's like, and you say, okay, you're kind of getting me, but it kind of sounds like a conspiracy theory. Go look up Obama's net worth. Obama is the biggest disgrace to the black community probably in the African Americans' history. He was bought and sold by the bankers. His net worth is around 50 million, something like that, on public books. On public books. How do you make so much money if the president only gets paid 400,000 a year? Obviously, it's because they paid him a bunch of money to pass Obamacare to continue to perpetuate. But I was told on CNN that Obamacare was good. Well, I don't care what you were told. It crashed a bunch of small businesses and was only good for the big corporations. And that's exactly what they wanted. Because what did John Rockefeller say? The one that's funding a lot of this stuff. Competition is a sin. Wipe out the competition, wipe out the small businesses, get the big businesses going. So my point is this doesn't really matter. This is all just an illusion. This is all in United States D. And I mean, it could go right here and bounce. I mean, we're looking at these levels right here. It doesn't really matter too much. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, but I thought I would tell you guys the truth because I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I have a small channel and right now Twitter and Instagram and whoever can't silence, the facts. I mean, because we're like a sleeping little dart. And at this point, it's kind of like, resistance is kind of futile, just because they control everything, they own everything, and once blockchain comes on, it's literally going to be impossible to fight. So there's not really a point in fighting anymore. I'm just telling you guys what's going on because nobody else is going to tell you what's going on. And we got it so much with the institutions. The institutions were like, Warren Buffett was like, oh, it's the biggest scam. Like, cryptocurrency is the biggest scam. And the institutions were every single institution. And what was it? It was like Fidelity. I don't remember what Fidelity said against it, but Fidelity was against it. And then in their papers, we learned that Fidelity was mining cryptocurrency back in 2014. Fidelity was mining cryptocurrency back in 2014. And so that's why all of us legendary OGs, we say, don't listen to what they say, listen to what they do. And obviously, Bill Gates is not for the people, trying to help the people. Maybe in his own sick, twisted way, he is. Like, I get everything that's going on in the world. Like, I actually understand it. And maybe in his own sick, twisted way, he thinks he's doing the right thing. But, that's definitely not the right thing for you to be fudding and selling your Bitcoin and giving all your future monetary power to these institutions. That's just not what you want to do. I mean, you can get scared, you can look at the USD value, it doesn't really matter. I mean, just think about how wealthy the Knights Templar is. A lot of people don't know about the Knights Templar. I'll make it really, 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 really cut dry and simple. And I don't want to talk about any conspiracy theories with the Knights Templar because there are conspiracy theories with the Knights Templar. I don't even want to talk about that. So, very simply, the Knights Templar were around in the medieval time. They got what was called the pardon from the Pope, and basically they were awarded by the Pope the ability to like go to war, like do all these things in the name of the church, and basically the Pope was like, yeah, this guy is on our team. And so all these major kingdoms back then started giving the Knights Templar all this gold. They started giving them massive amounts of gold. Then the Knights Templar created a banking system and made even more gold on top of it. Well, anyways, read history, not his story, not John Rockefeller's story that he developed in 1908 with the General Board of Education, which we're not going to get into, but that's a fact. Not that, but actually looking at the actual facts and, not being delusional and figuring out what happened. It's history, as in it's like social studies, whatever you want to call it, but it's history. You can look it up that the Knights Templar were the wealthiest people in history. Those guys, those extremely wealthy people, they were outlawed eventually by the Pope. So again, I'm not touching on any conspiracy theories. I'm not going to touch on any conspiracy theories. The Knights Templars were accused. I'm just going to say accused because I'm only telling you guys the facts. The Knights Templar were accused of spitting on the cross and defiling the church, and criticized with practicing pagan Gnostic teachings. And so the Pope made them illegal. Like he called for all their arrest, and then they fled to different countries like Sweden, Iceland, all these different countries. And they are the wealthiest, and they're behind the scenes, and they never lost their wealth, and their wealth was never turned up anywhere. Like I said, they were the wealthiest entity at the time. They were made illegal, they fled, and their money was never recovered. So we know that they had a massive amount of untraceable gold, and that they were in fact the wealthiest people in history. I mean, a lot of history has been lost, but from recorded history, from what we know, from what all academic scholars can retrace. Well, these guys that had all of this wealth, do you really think that they're just going to go ahead and lose it all to hyperinflation and let the peasants come up with, universal income and equal out the pay scale? Because I'm telling you, everybody knows. They're all lying to you. Everybody, I'm telling you, everybody knows that the currency that we hold right now is garbage. I'm telling you, everybody knows. Everybody knows that they're just gonna keep printing. It's gonna be bad. They're not gonna let the economy collapse. They're going to keep printing it into oblivion. And as it gets printed into oblivion, it becomes worth less and less and less. So these billionaires, these trillionaires, these Knights Templar, which are the wealthiest people on the planet, they don't want to see their wealth go away. They don't want to see, because on universal income, these peasants might be getting paid out $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, $600,000 a year in the future because of hyperinflation. It's not going to be worth a lot because the dollar's just going to keep going up in value, or it's going to keep going down in value, and like the more it's going to take more money to buy stuff, and everything's going to be digital, so you're not going to really realize it. You're going to see and so you don't rebel. It's all going to be in Bitcoin. And so, it might be $1 million worth of the old currency is what they're going to call it. But in Bitcoin, you only hold like 2 Bitcoin. So like you're really wealthy if you own like 2 Bitcoin is going to be like the whole thing. And it's all going to be digital. So it's not going to be like you're going to be looking at paper money. They're trying to get rid of paper money. They do a lot of, throughout the history of economics, They do a lot of like money shifting. They do a lot of mind tricks. And one of the big mind tricks was, okay, we have all this inflation coming on. People are going to get like, what the heck? How does this guy have $1 million when $1 million used to be like $3 million, a few years ago? Let's add debit cards. Let's add debit cards. Let's add credit cards. And then all of a sudden you're swiping money and you're like, oh, I have $1 million in my account, but it's just a number on the screen. It's not actually the physical, tangible dollars. So they're messing with your head. They're doing all these little magic tricks. They're like, oh, let's just put it in to Bitcoin, and then everybody will be like, oh, I have 1 Bitcoin, or oh, I have this or whatever. And because as soon as people start seeing the hyperinflation occur, they're gonna freak out and possibly rebel. And the secret that everybody knows is that if the populace rebels against the elites there's only a few elites. Like, the elites are very small. That's why they're called the elites. So if the populace was to rebel against them and say, we're not following your system anymore, then they would get wrecked. Like, if all the peasants just rose up, they would get wrecked. So what they did is they knew exactly what they were doing. They put everything into Bitcoin, and they're making it seem like, oh, Bitcoin's this new thing, like it's for the people. And they always do this. They always corral the sheep. They always corral the what do you call it? They always corral the sheep. They always corral, they call them goy, which is extremely racist, but they are extremely racist. And they literally are extremely narcissistic, and so that's why there's so much pain and suffering in the world, because they think they're the best and they think everybody else deserves to be their slaves. But anyways, we're not gonna get into that. But I mean, I have the facts to back it up, but I'm not gonna get into that. They're trying to convince everybody, get into Bitcoin, get into Bitcoin. It's for the people. It's going to be so good. There's not going to be inflation. There's not going to be any like monetary like desensitization. Like, it's not like people can like take away loans. It's not like, whatever. And it is good in the sense that it is good for like, it's like we're going back on a gold standard, but they created it. And, they were the first ones. You're pumping their bags. You're pumping Satoshi Nakamoto's bags. And, my biggest fear with Bitcoin has always been, because, it's like when, who was it? Joe Biden, he kept taking like loans or whatever from other countries. Everybody knew about that. And then the leftists, like, you can play dumb or whatever. And I'm not a rightist, I'm not a leftist. I've said that multiple times. Like, I could honestly care less, because they're both, two different wings of the same bird. It's like left Twix and right Twix. Nobody cares. Like, it's just, you're literally fighting against, they're making you fight against each other. They're lining you up and making you fight against each other, because if you turned on them, like, if you guys always realized that it was never about the left and the right, if you realized that it was always about the peasants versus the elites, and you clearly outnumber them, so they have to create these distortions and say, oh, it's the Republicans, it's the Democrats, it's this, it's that, and it's all just tensions to keep you guys fighting, and then they pervert it or whatever. They keep pumping it up. All this stuff is like absolute well-known fact. They can't tell you this stuff on CNN though; they'll get fired. Doctors can't go against what the CDC says; they'll get fired. And who started, all the preemptive rules for the CDC? Bill Gates with Event 201 with the Johns Hopkins University. They said we need to suppress the media. That was all planned. It's Event 201. It's a very, very well documented university study that they did. And they wrote all the notes, like, let's pretend that there's a coronavirus coming out, and then let's make this entire plan for it. And then they did that. And then, a lot of people don't realize the whole new technology with the new ribosome technology, the RNA vaccine, that was funded by Bill Gates. That's not a conspiracy theory. He funded that new technology. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a fact. Um, but anyways, so yeah, the elites are making it seem like, oh, this is, the good new system. Everybody get into this system. And money's never going to get manipulated. And when you look at, all the world currencies before were manipulated, which is true. But this one isn't going to be. And so they're going to hold all the power, they're going to hold all the wealth, they're going to hold all the literally tokens or coins, and you're pumping up Satoshi Nakamoto's bag, which is them. Because, it's just common sense. You really think that this brand new technology that's so advanced was created by some random guy in Japan who made, $100 billion and didn't touch a penny after working extremely hard to create this? Yeah. So, the point is this, what we saw before, because at the end of the day, I'm going to teach you real history. I'm not going to teach you what they sit down and feed you in school, because that's just ridiculous. It's like the whole, like, people are like, with the whole Matrix thing, they're like, there's no way that, reality or whatever isn't like real or whatever. Let me put it this way. Whenever people talk about, a material world and you're focused on a material world, this is exactly what they mean. When you go to school, when you go to kindergarten, what they teach you is, what's your favorite color? Let's learn some numbers. Let's learn, about cows. What do cows make? Like, what do cows look like? They teach you about the material manifestation of the world, when we know that all the major secret societies focus on vibration. And it sounds crazy, but like I was I was one of the top students at university. When you look at physics, what goes on in physics? You have atoms, but what do atoms do? They vibrate. Nothing in the material world is constant. Everything vibrates. That's not me being a hippie. That's science. That's our modern understanding of science. But they always teach you the one-sided argument. They always teach you the material. They want to keep you at surface level thinking, literally. When I say your entire reality is an entire lie, I mean your entire reality is a lie. I mean, even from, even from the development of language, it was always perverted. There was Latin, and that was a huge, decoy representation. But they say the true language is the Hebrew language. But it's all the ancient cultures, And when you look at reading a book, because what do you do in school? You read a book. Well, when you read a book left to right, it actually messes up your brain. Your brain actually processes information. And again, this is all facts. You can look it up. Your brain actually processes information from right to left. And so a lot of people that have dyslexia, they don't actually have dyslexia. Their brain's just not programmed to go from reading that left to right. It actually messes up your brain. And that's why a lot of the ancient cultures actually practice, reading. So they're messing up your brain, literally, just from you reading textbooks. They're making you focus on the words, not the vibrations, and then they're making you focus on the material. There's not words in the human language to really describe, in the human language, in the English language, there's not really words to describe reality. Like, whenever you get really upset and you can't find the words for it, whenever you get really, whatever, most of what it is, it's a lot of emotions, it's a lot of, just, you have these experiences and you're like, I just can't describe that, because you're focused on the material, and the entire reality set that you're looking at is based off of not the spiritual, but it's based off of vibration. So let me go a little bit further. So when you actually take the core of reality, it's all vibrations. That's not a conspiracy, that's a fact. You look at, if you talk to any, whatever you call it, it goes off of vibrations. And then what we learn, because like I said, top of my class, going to school to be medical school, when you're talking about your brain actually works in frequencies. So you have alpha wave, delta wave, gamma wave, theta wave, and these are actually vibrate on frequencies. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's not spiritual thinking, that's a fact. And as you know, somebody that was training to become a physician, we measure that through CAT scans. We measure that through brainwave scans, that your brain vibrates on frequencies. And then what we also learned is that your thoughts, your emotions actually dictate those frequencies. So you can actually have different vibrations based off of your emotions. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's not whatever. That's a fact. That's a scientific fact that we know that the entire universe vibrates on frequencies. That's a fact. Okay, and they knew about this stuff since the beginning. The Freemasons have been talking about this stuff since the beginning. They talked about sacred geometry, they talked about the vibrations, the pyramids, all this stuff. It's so hard to cover up because it's so, like, the pyramids are so massive, but we've known about this stuff for so long. And I'm just not even touching the surface. It's not really about the material world. It's about the vibrations and the frequencies and interacting as matter with other matter. And they broke this whole reality down into something called sacred geometry, where they back up how the universe works, like the actual blueprints of the universe. They had the blueprints for atoms. They had the blueprints for atoms before modern science. They've had this information from years. The thing is, once you realize that it's not a suppression of money, it's a suppression of information, it just kind of messes with your mind. The peasants aren't even allowed to touch the money. So the peasants have to be focused on this, the money. And then that distracts them from what they really need to know, which is the knowledge that they're suppressing, that they're keeping. That's the real thing. Have a money game, and they've been doing this for thousands of years. Have the money game and distract people from, the knowledge, to like make it so they can't think. Force them to go to school. Force them to do all this stuff so they can't think. Distract them with this. But what do we got? So we got vibrations. So different elements actually vibrate at different frequencies, and that's really where we get the I had a really good video on this, but different elements vibrate at different frequencies. Again, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's not like spiritual hippie stuff. That's science. So the electron configuration, which is what determines different elements, that dictates what level different materials vibrate on. And different materials vibrating against each other, like when you have air, when you have all these different molecules, that's what creates your reality. And there's a lot of magnetics that go into like the pyramids, where it's like facing true north, and then the whole thing is like a giant pyramid, is what the best Egyptologists in the space believe. And then they say that, as above, so below. So that's like really advanced, that's secret information, literally from the Freemasons. But basically, like, your whole body's like a battery. And people are like, bro, you're absolutely insane. What do you mean your whole body is like a battery? But if you didn't have electricity flowing through your body, you would literally die in a second. Your electricity powers your heart. The different neurons power your muscles. The different neurons in your brain power your brain. The electricity that flows through your body is one of the most substantial parts of the human body that they don't talk about. And a lot of it comes down to vibration. A lot of it comes down to energy, like literal energy. And people say, when they don't have all the information, you always get conspiracy theorists, you always get whatever, when they don't have all the information. See, you take the stuff that you're learning from me, and then you butcher it, and it doesn't make sense, and you tell it to somebody else, and it doesn't make sense, and that's where you get conspiracy theories from. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I don't believe in like some like hippie new age like magical stuff you can't believe in, that you can't see, that you can't whatever. Sacred geometry, it's all mathematics. It all fact checks itself out. There's nothing to be like hippie, voodoo, magic. The human body is a battery. Well, what's the human body made out of? It's made out of water. Okay, that's fine. water conducts electricity. Okay, that's fine. What's the blood made out of? It's made out of metals. What kind of metals? Iron, copper, zinc, nickel. Um, I'm trying to think. There's a few others. And then what does the mitochondria do? It produces electricity. It doesn't produce frictional electricity. It produces a different type of a chemical reaction that we learn in biology. Again, went to school to be a doctor. It produces a different type of electricity called chemical electricity, and that's produced by things like calcium, magnesium, those things that I talked about, and that's what powers a lot of the human body. Well, ancient cultures, like the guys over in what was it, in the East? I wanted to say the Middle East, but the East, the Eastern medicine, they call that chi. They call that energy chi. And so, like I'm saying, we've known about all this stuff for hundreds of thousands of years. They're suppressing the information from you. They're lying to you. They're lying to you about Bitcoin. They're lying to you about everything. But my point is, they're lying to you about Bitcoin. But yeah, all that information's been around for years. But anyways, yeah, so Egyptologists, the best Egyptologists say that it's there's more evidence to say that the pyramid's a giant battery. The way that has the gold on the top of the pyramid, and the way on the bottom of the pyramid there's a giant water chasm, and then there's a special type of rock that the pyramids are built out of, which conduct electricity. I don't remember. You can look it up, but there's a special type. It's like calcinite or something like that, I believe. Well, anyways, there should be like 144 blocks on the pyramid. It's facing true north, and the whole thing is built off sacred geometry, and it's actually a scale model of the planet. It's actually a scale model of the planet. The pyramids is. So the pyramid's a triangle or a dodecahedron. It's actually 8-sided. Conducts electricity, kind of like when Nikola Tesla was conducting electricity and figured all this stuff out about how to freely release electrons into the air and have free electricity, and then they obviously shut them down because you got to tax the peasants for everything, even if it's free, because they have to be in the slave class. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but they're against you, and history has shown nothing but that that's the case. But we're not going to get into like the wars. We're not going to get into any of that. What I'll say is, to the point about the dodecahedron, which is a sacred geometry and the scale model of the Earth. So the pyramid, the longitude and latitude of the Earth, when you measure it, is the exact same measurement when you take the top of the pyramid to the length of the pyramid. Which in and of itself could be a coincidence, but then when you look at all the sacred geometry in the pyramids, it's mathematically impossible for it to be a coincidence, and then it's facing true north on top of that, and then it is set up like a giant battery if that wasn't the case. But I'm pretty sure they knew what they were doing if they could draw a scale model of the planet with those giant blocks. But it comes down to, okay, well, that's one thing. And then also, if you don't know, Egypt is located in the center of the world, and there's 3 pyramids. And if you don't know, 3 is a ginormous number in sacred geometry, and it all lines up with sacred geometry, and they knew sacred geometry, and we're not going to get into any of that. But that like they like measure the stars and the planets and everything down to exact accuracy, and there was this huge perpetual lie that like humans all of a sudden just learned like calculus and geometry and chemistry. No, it's been there for a long time. They didn't just figure this out magically. In fact, it's a conspiracy theory. This is a conspiracy theory. I haven't said one conspiracy theory since I started. It's a conspiracy theory because the Mesopotamians knew about sacred geometry, which is very advanced mathematics, and kind of puts a top on the whole academic lie that humans have been advancing, when really it's more that we're fighting suppression more than anything, and that knowledge has clearly been there. What they say is that from the Mesopotamians, because they had all this information, they say that the gods came down from the sky. Again, this is more of speculation. This is part of their myths. This is their mythology. They say that the gods came down from the sky. This is what they say. This is what the Mesopotamians say. They say the gods come down from the sky and give them the information. Now, do I believe that? I know for a fact that that's what they believed because it was in their mythology, or at the very least, that's what we're told in history. But obviously, they don't bring that up a lot in academics because it goes against everything they believe in. But yeah, that's kind of the deal with that, is that you got the Mesopotamians or whatever, and they knew about all this stuff, and they knew about gold and silver, and everybody's like, why is silver so important? Why is it a precious metal? The electron configuration on it is 108, and 108 is an extremely significant number in sacred geometry. It's actually the axis, what do you call it? The angle of a triangle, or not a triangle, of a square. So, and then obviously they all equal 360, and you learn all this cool stuff with geometry, and then you later learned that all these ancient cultures actually developed that. And then they accredit it to Pythagoras, but Pythagoras was the guy that just worked on sacred geometry with music specifically, and he just basically applied sacred geometry to music. And then they basically, like, when you hear about like all this conspiracy crap about music and stuff, basically human beings really like the sound of 432 hertz and like these different sacred geometry measurements, frequencies, waves, and then basically what music does is it distorts that and manipulates the mind in multiple different ways. But I'm not going to go too deep into that, but that's why a lot of people don't like that kind of stuff. But it all comes down to sacred geometry, and sacred geometry is just math that is like the blueprint of the planet, and you can look into it yourself. I'm not really going to go over it too much. It's very advanced, and again, a lot of it is hidden, but like when they talk about enzo and exoteric meanings in the Bible, when they say like you're like God, like the whole world is based off of sacred geometry. And when you look at, you have 3 fingers right here, and then you have 5 fingers right here. So this is 2 and 3, and this is like part of sacred geometry, and it's very advanced stuff. But when you look at the human body and the way the universe was designed, the universe actually is designed like through sacred geometry, the same way that the human body is designed. It's extremely advanced stuff, and it's as below so above, and it's I'm not going to get into it. It's extremely advanced, and if you have no clue what I'm talking about, it doesn't really matter. The point is that Egyptologists have known for a long time that the pyramids are pointing more towards that they were a battery than that they were burial sites. Every single academia knows that that's the case, and they want to hold on to what they were taught in school, and that's a really big issue for everybody. Not just there's no conspiracy attached to that. But I'm sure everybody's still focused on the whole money thing. Let's see if I have any comments about, like, go look at XRP or something. Yeah. Well, it's not like about agreeing with me or not. It's like all the facts are there. It's not like the problem is that you, like, for YouTube example, like if I was a bigger channel and I was saying this, they would shut me down. They would suppress the information. They would shadow ban the content if it ever got out. It's not about being right or wrong. Everybody knows it's right, and the people that don't know it's right, they're just being fed that crap. You can say whatever you want. It's freedom of speech until you say the right things. You check the right boxes. Nobody cares about some like crazy alien conspiracy that's not real. What people care about is the facts, and if you actually start waking people up, they're obviously going to stop you. And that's been shown multiple times throughout history. I mean, they've assassinated emperors of Rome for like trying to help. They've suppressed all sorts of major people. But yeah, I mean, it's like when the United States was first founded, it was founded because um, there was and Benjamin Franklin talks about this so much. It's extremely well documented. He said, we don't want to be taxed like highly, not like the colonial taxes from like they were upset about that too, but what they were mostly upset about was the Bank of England and the fact that they constantly were working, and then the Bank of England would just keep printing more notes, and so they were getting cheated out of the system, and they knew they were getting cheated out of the system, so that's why they started America. And then they can't tell you that now because we're back in the same system of a central bank, and so they can't tell you that that's the case. So what they say is, oh, it's about freedom or whatever that means. I don't really know what kind of freedom they're talking about. The United States has freedom just like every other country. And obviously not freedom of speech. It's only freedom of speech when they allow it to be freedom of speech. It's only right of religion when it's allowed to be right of religion. It's all an illusion. It's all, a facade. They all want to make it seem like, oh, nothing to worry about. We're all good. It's all fine. It's all fairness here. The military-industrial complex isn't real, even though Eisenhower brought it up. And he was, one of the biggest military guys. I mean, talk about somebody that's not a conspiracy theorist. You got the president of the United States at the time, one of the biggest guys in the military. And he says, guys, listen, a lot of what's going on, a lot of times they're just literally creating wars because the wealthiest people on the planet own the tank companies. They own a lot of this stuff, and they just want to blow up properties. They just want to blow up everything. They want to tax the crap out of the government. They want the government to take out massive loans so that they can capitalize on it. And it's all public information. It's just, if you start talking about it, they'll either kill you or they'll suppress the information because it's facts and they don't want that to get out. It's okay if a few people know about it, but if, the sheep start waking up to the slaughterhouse, they're going to close that thing up real quick. If I had 100,000 subs, I'd be getting text messages like, you need to shut up. And that's just the reality of, the state we live in. They control everything. And they will, like, they control the politicians, they control all that. But I'm telling you, once blockchain kicks in, which they're 100% behind, they can pretend like they're not behind it the whole time. And it just brings, like, if it would be better if they were more upfront about it. And apparently they can't be upfront with the peasants about anything. But if they were more upfront about it, if they were like, listen, this or that. But the fact that Bill Gates is like, oh, blockchain technology is not going to go anywhere. He's worth $100 billion and there's about to be hyperinflation. If you don't think he's going to diversify into Bitcoin, it's obvious. It's obvious that he's lying. When Elon Musk says, oh, I don't know anything about Bitcoin, it sounds interesting. When he was talking about Ethereum years ago, it's obvious. He's literally lying to your face. Like, it's proven. Like, there's text messages showing that he was talking about cryptocurrency before. He even admits that he was around people that had a Bitcoin birthday cake. He admits that he was around people that had a Bitcoin birthday cake back in 2014. Of course he knew about it. Of course he knew about it. And the fact that he would come on and all the normies would just be like, oh yeah, Elon Musk has no clue about Bitcoin, when he was cutting Bitcoin cake celebrating Bitcoin in 2014. I mean, they're lying straight to your face. It's not like a conspiracy theory. It's not like this, or they're lying straight to your face. We know they're lying straight to your face. You can look at the messages. You can look at him even admit that he cut a cake in 2014. And like, obviously, it's one thing if you hear about Bitcoin and you're like, oh, this is Bitcoin or whatever. But if there's an entire cake being made on Bitcoin, obviously there's some significance to it. Obviously they knew how big it was going to be. Obviously they knew the fundamentals behind it, and they didn't need Michael Saylor to explain the fundamentals of it. So, I mean, would I be surprised if Elon Musk reached out to Michael Saylor privately and said, hey, can you like put on this show and basically say that I need to get involved in Bitcoin, and then I'll get involved in Bitcoin, that would not surprise me one bit. In fact, that's probably what happened. And the fact that these guys can't be honest, the fact that these guys can't be transparent, the fact that, everything's just staged and lied to, you can't trust them. You can't trust them because, they're lying straight to your face. It's like they're lying straight to your face. We know they're lying. You can't trust them. There's just, I mean, even if you want to, even if you give them the benefit of the doubt, you can't. You can't give them the benefit of the doubt because they've lied. If they didn't lie, then maybe you could interpret their You couldn't, if they didn't lie about everything and it was debunked multiple times that they lied blatantly, if you didn't declassify that they lied, then you could be like, okay, well, he's obviously pushing this agenda. Is it good or bad? And that would be the real only argument because we know all the facts. And because we know they lied, we can't trust them. We don't know their intentions. We know that they're not for the benefit of the greater good. So at least, when he's saying sell your Bitcoin, we know that that's not the right move. We know that we're not going to let that go. And my only thing is, really, when you really start digging into cryptocurrency, there's only two things that I'm really concerned about. The first one is that they're going to make Bitcoin illegal, and they already control the government. So I doubt that it's going to happen because when Nixon and people say, well, why you sound like a crazy person saying that they're going to take away Bitcoin. Well, actually, if you look at the history with Nixon in the 60s, when he took 60s, 70 era, when he took gold, took us off gold and, made it illegal to buy gold. And then he forced all the Americans to sell their gold back for pennies on the dollar. So looking at history, real history that we can actually draw, evidence from, because history is extremely important. Regardless of what school will have you think when you're just memorizing a bunch of random facts and being told some BS story. When you actually do look at history, why to begin with did Nixon take it off the gold standard? Was he like some monster, demon, something, whatever? No, it was because he said in his words, and it's open to interpretation, but his reasoning behind it was that there's inflation occurring. Everybody knows there's inflation occurring, and gold at the time was a threat to the dominancy and the power of the United States, which was their currency. They tax people in their currency, they pay people in their currency, they do all these different things, and you're taking the power away from the United States government and giving it back to the people. Now, you can draw your own conclusions on that, but they made it illegal to own gold because they were afraid that that gold was going to blow up and that it could possibly be a currency, like people would trade like gold or whatever, like it would be a store of value, and so they manipulated the price of gold for years, a massive amount of time. They suppressed the price of gold. There's so many documentaries that very, I'm not even going to get into it, but you can watch 3, 4, 5 hour documentaries where people just dump all the facts about how they were massively suppressing the price of gold for years. Because if gold interacted anything close to how it should have, it would have exploded just like Bitcoin did. But it didn't, because they did things like they took it away from the people, they suppressed the price of it, they printed paper notes, and derivatives is something that every commodity has, but like I said, I'm not going to get into it. There's 3, 4 hour long videos just dumping fact after fact about the manipulation of the gold market. And then I believe late last year, early this year, JP Morgan, we looked at that earlier, they got slammed for a 200 and whatever $billion fine for suppressing the price of gold. And that kind of just reminds me of these elites are just straight dirtbags. They were the ones suppressing the price. They were the ones buying, the gold originally, in the whole Waterloo thing with England. But them slamming JP Morgan for gold suppression when every single, major elite has been doing this for the last, at least 100 years that we have documented. It's like, when the Rockefellers left the oil industry and they just slammed it with, looking into electric vehicles and everything else, and now you see all this propaganda in the mainstream about how evil, like in Wonder Woman, the bad guys in Wonder Woman were the oil guys, the guys that were running an oil business. They were like the evil guys. And it's only evil. It wasn't evil back when, they were forcing everybody in minimum wage, and they were buying out all these businesses, and the peasants were screaming for them to stop, and they just paid all the politicians, to waive any sort of regulation whatsoever, and put everything in favor of the oil companies. All that immoral actions. Oh, that we're not going to cover by the media. And then the second that they're like, okay, we're done with pushing this oil agenda. Let's start pushing electricity. They make it sound like oil's the bad guys. And it's like, oh, climate change. The people that are biggest on the whole climate change thing, and I'm not going to touch on it too much, are the guys that started climate change to begin with, which the climate's been changing for a long time. I'm not really going to get into it too much, but the climate does change, and there's a thing that scientists have to look at called causation and correlation. And causation is when, let's say, you do one thing and it causes another. That's called causation. And there's another thing called correlation. And correlation is like, let's say it's summer, and because it's summer, a lot of people are buying ice cream. And let's say because it's summer, a lot of people are also working out. Does that mean that because people are buying ice cream, they're working out? No, it's an outside factor that's also driving up both of those two things to be higher in relevancy. So that's correlation, that's causation. I mean, you can look at it more, but it's very hard to prove causation. They're definitely correlated. There's a lot of evidence to say that they're correlated, but I mean, just looking at common sense, we're a giant rock in the universe, and there's this thing called the sun, and we've been in Jurassic periods where it's extremely hot, a lot hotter than it is right now, and we've been in ice ages, and there's been floods in the past. Every single major culture talks about floods in the past. Input Mesopotamians, which you probably didn't know about, it's every single major culture has talked about floods in the past. So we obviously know that the earth goes through these cycles where it heats up really hot, ice ages melt, there's a giant flood, wipes out a lot of people. That's been very well documented. It's also been very well documented that there's ice ages throughout history. So and different carbon emissions back then from different plants and animals. And so I mean, I don't really want to get into it too much, but to just blindly say, global warming and not understand correlation, causation, and the macro cycles that have nothing to do with the carbon emissions, specifically fossil fuel burning from electric or from motor vehicles. And I'm not saying it's one way or the other. I mean, I could really care less. The thing that I care about the most is that you have the bad guys that were pushing this, for the longest time. And all of a sudden, they're like, this is so bad. This is so bad. It's horrible. And they're the ones that caused the whole thing that they're claiming is, the problem. They caused the whole thing. It's like, if it's really such a problem, then why don't you guys fix it with the trillions of dollars that you stole from everybody by forcing, the politicians to favor your bills when everybody was clearly against it? It's like Bitcoin. Everybody's like, it's real money. Like, the world is saved. It's all good and stuff. And it's the J.P. Morgans that are pushing this, and they're the ones that originally enslaved everybody. With the financial systems to begin with. And it's like they stole all the money to begin with. They privatized the banking sector when it should have been nationalized, like it said in the Constitution. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's what it says in the Constitution. I mean, anything against that is un-American, and a lot of the American values that the founding fathers came up with, like not paying interest on money loans, like I'm not going to get into it too much, but there's a reason they assassinated Abraham Lincoln, and it had a little bit to do with the currency and a lot less to do with some random BS story that they came up with. He had this currency called the greenback, and guess what? He didn't charge inflation against his people on something that was of value to them. There was no reason to. So he nationalized the currency, and they shot him in the back of the head. And then they told you guys that funny, it's not really a funny story. It's pretty messed up. But my point is this. They constantly give you the problems, make you think it's your fault, and then feed you the solution. They've been doing this for a long, long, long time. And, that's why it's been 200,000 years and you still have to work. You would think that, within the first 100, you'd have a house built at least. And maybe, then you have, 50 other generations to figure out maybe a business or start up a garden so that you can eat or something. How does the wealth from, the past, they say modern man's like 200,000 years old. So, and the average age of survival is like 50 if you take the median between all those ages. So you have about 400,000, and it just sounds ridiculous. 400,000. So that would be 200, so 50, so let's just be extremely conservative and say you have 50 ancestors. How did they all lose everything? It's with these money games. It's with the whole Bitcoin. It's with the whole tanking the economy thing. It happens all the time. It's happened throughout history. It's happened with the Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians. They didn't even pay the Egyptians in assets. They paid them in beer. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't realize the significance of it. They paid the Egyptians in alcohol to keep them in the working class. That way they didn't have assets. They didn't have anything to accumulate. And it kept them dumb, kept them working. They're not smart enough to figure anything out. They keep getting their IQ lowered by their payment method, which they can't, accumulate. Like, it's not like you can take that alcohol, and they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. They always know what they're doing. And this time's not any different. It's a massive wealth shift, and it happens all the time. But yeah, I mean, it's just consolidating right here. We need to look at this level. We need to look at this level. It could possibly come down to these levels. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter when you zoom out. And I don't just mean on the Bitcoin chart. I mean on the financial charts. And again, I cover a lot of this on my channel. Like, I did a 3-hour financial presentation on different multiple financial papers that you're not going to find anywhere else, not even at university, because so much has changed in the financial system and how, everything's being conducted. And a lot of it's going over to blockchain. And because of that, the whole world's changing, just like the internet changed. And the internet was an agenda, and people were like, how can you be so certain about the internet, to Bill Gates? Well, he knew a thing or two. And a lot of people don't know, like, the whole Bill Gates thing. Like, a lot of people don't really know about the morals and ethics of him, regardless of the fact that he's been public multiple times about wanting to depopulate the world. Besides that, when it comes to, because they never give these guys bad press. They always try and hype them up as much as you can, so you listen to them, so they have credibility. They have no credibility, but you have to have common sense to understand that Bill Gates actually stole most of the work, the technology from Steve Jobs, and that was heavily documented. They took Apple. This isn't a conspiracy theory. Again, this is all very, very, very well documented, very public, extremely public. Anybody can access this information with valid sources that Bill Gates took wanted to intern at Apple and then stole a lot of their technology against their agreements. And yeah, I mean, there's no real way of saying anything else other than that. They stole a lot of Apple's. And it's like with Mark Zuckerberg. Is Mark Zuckerberg a genius? Heck no. He stole the idea from MySpace. I think Mark Zuckerberg's a joke. And then they play it off as like this whole social media thing where they're like, "Oh, I like totally predicted social media and this and that." And it's like you didn't even come up with it, buddy. You didn't even come up with it. Quit acting like Facebook was some like revolutionary idea. You stole it, just like Bill stole it. But now you got these psychopaths running the planet, and they do not have your best intentions. I mean, if there's anything I can say, it's that history has proven. You know, my friend was asking me the other day why we're in Afghanistan, and I said, so there's this guy named, what's his name? Bush, whatever, George Bush or whatever. And he says, you know, well, you had the whole 9/11 thing. Okay, I get that. But he's like, okay, so we went to Iraq. Why are we in Afghanistan? And I said, well, according to Bush, it's preventative warfare. And my friend's like, we're seriously at war right now to prevent war. And I said, well, that's according to the normies. That's what this is all about, is suppressing the terrorist. And he said, so we're at war right now to prevent war, and they didn't do anything, and we already attacked them for, you know, we killed like, you know, however many for 9/11 or whatever, which was one group of people, and now we're over fighting for preventative warfare. So this country actually didn't do anything to us, and we're bombing the crap out of them, paying taxpayer dollars every single day, bombing the absolute crap out of random people that we don't know, putting our military soldiers at risk every single day for essentially no reason, just for fun, to go just shoot rounds at random strangers that they didn't do anything to us, but it's preventative warfare. And I said, yeah, I know, it sounds crazy. And it is. And I think that's more of the, you know, when you talk about crazy people, I think the crazy people are the people that hold on to their fragile belief systems and are, you know, driven more by fear and more so than morals and doing what's right and, you know, what's obviously ethical. And that's the whole thing behind 9/11, and that's the whole thing behind, you know, Afghanistan campaign. Instill fear in them, make them freak out, scare the crap out of them, and then we can control them. That was their whole plan. And it was actually declassified by, I forget the exact guy's name, but there was a guy that was friends with John Rockefeller. He went on one of the talk shows and then basically said that they literally planned this whole thing out, and then they assassinated him. I forget the guy's name. I'll pull up that video another time before we hit too many subs to where they suppress all this information. But because you know they're gonna suppress this information. Everybody knows this stuff is true, but you can't go around saying this stuff. They'll kill you. Literally. They think of the humans as like cattle. That's what they say, is cattle or sheep. It's not nice. But, you know, as somebody that had a 4.0 in psychopathology, it comes down to like narcissism. And people always say narcissism and this and that, but to actually be diagnosed as a narcissist, you have to have at least 6 out of the 8 traits. And basically, narcissists think that they actually think that they're superior human beings to other human beings because of some class. Like, for example, like they might be like, oh, well, I'm richer than this person, so that makes me better than them, or I'm this and that makes me better than them. Or there's a lot of different things, a lot of different traits that narcissists pick up to have that narcissistic tendency. But and you have to have 6 out of the 8 traits. I can't remember all of them off of the top of my head. I have them memorized in my textbook, and I can name some of them. Like it's mostly like lack of empathy, things like this. But the point is that they think they're superior. They think they're literally superior, and so they don't have a lot of empathy. They don't have a lot of sympathy because they think that they deserve to be like superior or whatever race is really what it comes down to. And it's really, really messed up. And obviously none of that is going to be captured by the news media outlets. But nothing I'm saying is like a conspiracy theory. Nothing that I'm saying is like this information has been out for a long time. It's all public. You just can't like publish a book about it or something. You can't really go on and talk about it. I tried to talk about it on Instagram because there was just these stupid comments, and I made a comment, and then Instagram literally blocked my comment, and I was furious. I was furious. Instagram blocked my comment when I was talking. I don't even remember what I was saying, but I was saying something about the truth. And like I said, you can say anything you want as long as it's what's actually going on. You can talk about, aliens colonizing, some crazy planet, and, you can talk about whatever. If it sounds crazy and nobody's going to believe it, that's fine. If you start saying the truth and you start bringing facts up, they're going to bring in, the suppression, they're going to bring in the artillery. And they've proven time and time again they have no problem putting lead in people's head. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing really going on. So these are the major levels I'm looking at, but um, what I'm really concerned about in this whole finance thing with Bitcoin. But yeah, so I mean, who cares about the Bill Gates FUD? Seriously, they're lying to you. I'm telling you, because I'm the only channel that can tell you. Like, it's not just the fact that we called all 3 dumps. It's not just the fact that we called every single price action. It's the fact that I'm also like genuinely care and are willing to help people out and being for the people, which you're not going to see anywhere else, either because they don't want to or either because they can't. But regardless, so what I'm concerned about, and I'm going to take the Heiskanashi candlesticks out. So you have these right here. Oh, it must be the setup on the... Is it Market Cipher that's making the candlesticks weird? No. Oh, yeah, this is what it is. It's this setting. It should be. I don't think it's possible to have these two like this. Let's see. Close. Open. Yeah, it shouldn't. Let's see. Close. Close. I guess it is. So what I'm concerned about on the daily is you have this bearish engulfing candlestick right here, and we're gonna have to print more charts out, which we'll go over later, because this is more a long-term concern. So right here on the daily, you did print a bearish candlestick, so that's not looking good. And then the fact that we had this dump right here is not looking good. And again, we'll go over more of the macros for that because, well, can we look at it right here with this graph? Why is it drawn like that? I know I drew it, but this must have been on a different time frame. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we want to definitely hold this area. If not on the daily time frame, we want to at least hold this area. But so here's where it starts to get into dangerous territory, because like I said, I don't like to do the whole like belief system thing. Like finances is a case-to-case basis, and it changes every second, literally. So holding on to like some belief system is just gonna get you wrecked. Like just saying all this or all that or this stock or that stock is always good to buy, it's not gonna be the case. So let's see, let's go to the weekly chart. So I'm not gonna like I told you guys I'm not afraid of Bitcoin, but obviously if Bitcoin goes down to whatever percentage, I'm just gonna hold it on the ledger, and I'm obviously not gonna be on any trades. But right now I don't want to see the weekly candlestick close anywhere close to these levels right here. That would be massively bearish, and we could have a multi-week correction. Let's go back to UTC time. Come on, Bill, give me my internet back. UTC time. Anyways, it's like Tuesday on UTC time, so it's a long ways from the corrective wave or whatever. Or it's a long way for the close. Jeez, this is lagging. All right. I'm just going to cancel it out there. But on the short term, we're looking good. I want to see a bounce. If we don't see a bounce and we do start closing like the weekly starting to look bearish, and if we do start closing some extremely bearish daily candlesticks, which I'm going to go over later. Right now, everything's looking good. Right now on the macro Fibonacci, we're looking good. We haven't even came down and hit 40. We could hit, we could hit a lot of levels and still be bullish as long as we wick them. We could come down to 30K and wick it and then come back up and be good. But the key there is to wick it. What my main concern right here is I don't want to print, right now we're going to be looking at the month or the daily when we come back, but what I don't want to see is I don't want to see the daily candlestick come down and close any more bearish than, like, we already did have a bearish engulfing. We could be printing, it looks like, possibly at 3 black crows. I didn't get too good of a look at it, but it's those 3 evenly spaced candlestick bodies that are red. And then the other thing is we need to pull up the Fibonacci and really see how far down we're going on this small trend that we're on the daily, because that's going to be effective. And then again, that weekly candlestick close is going to be massive, and that's really going to determine on if we have a fast recovery, if we have a slow recovery, whatever the case is. And then let me just see if there's, oh my gosh, did it just come back up? Why did it just come back up? Don't mess with me, Bill. I'm just kidding. Don't mess with me, Bill. I'll call you out in front of my 10 subscribers. I'll call you out, Bill. All right. So yeah, like right now, this would be a bearish engulfing. Essentially, you do have a wick right here, but this is essentially the fact that you do have buying pressure right here, and then you have more selling pressure. So the idea is of a bearish engulfing. We definitely don't want to see this on the weekly. And like I said, we're not close to the weekly close. It's not loading the UTC time, but to my understanding, it's Tuesday in UTC time, and obviously we don't close for a long time. So with that being the case, I'm not really concerned about this right now, but this is definitely something to look out for. And if we do hit these levels and we do close around these levels, we could definitely see a multi-week correction. Am I bearish at that point? I'm not bearish at that point. I'm just saying we'll see a multi-week correction. Hopefully during that time period, Cardano people are like, oh, Cardano's not that good. I wish Cardano wasn't that good. Like I wish people thought that so I could accumulate more of it, but Cardano is just holding up like an absolute beast. And we accumulated heavy at 10 cents, and I want more. I really do. And it's hard to get because everybody knows that it's the future and they're not selling. All right, so you do have this, and then you have this right here, but really what we want to look at is we want to look at this area right here. Yeah, so that area right there. And then, yeah, I mean, if we do come down and hit, these areas that we're looking at, like right here, on these higher fib channels, 40, 42 area, possibly, it's possible for like a 30, 37. If we do hit these areas, we need to wick them. We need to wick them because if we don't wick them and we start closing like massive bearish daily candlesticks, that's going to start to cause a problem. What we want to see is something like this, where we have a massive wick. Even though this is, bearish engulfing, this still can reverse because it is bearish engulfing, but at the same time, it has this massive wick right here. So you could almost say it's nearly a hammer stick formation. And so, like I said, if we do hit these areas, we need a wick. We need it to come down to these areas and then wick it. And then, like I said, everybody's like really excited about the ETH to BTC comparative, where Ethereum could start outperforming Bitcoin again, like it has done historically. But like I said before, and I really want to bring my community up on this, is that, look at total. It hit our measured move. What did it have? It had something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was like, it's at least going here. Total's not looking good. Total is not looking good at all. So money's flowing out of the space. People are losing money. I'm not saying to buy anything right now. So we can look at ETH to BTC and see how that's going to be performing relatively speaking. And if you're looking at cost-based averaging in, that's fine. And if you want to see how that's going to perform over the relative term, that's fine. It did, oh my gosh, against everybody, nearly everybody in the space. Okay, well, we didn't hit it exactly. We are so close to hitting our measured move. Now, again, I really want to bring people's attention to this because my whole job is to like help people out. Like, I'm not here to get paid. I'm here to help you guys out. So I want to hit this area right here and I want to bounce. And then once we bounce, what we need to do, okay, let's go to right here and let's go to right here. So we would measure this move right here because this is really the start of it. And then potentially, right here, we have it right here, and then we'll just move it as the price adjusts. And then draw that like right there. And then you guys are like, whoa, rainbow chart. And then that's just so we get the lines. Perfect. So we can have the lines, but it's not like super. And then when we need to focus on it, we can just turn the background back. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a bounce at this level. Now, is it going to happen? There's nothing to say that it is going to happen other than Ethereum is extremely overbought it's extremely oversold on this metric when you factor in the fundamentals. Now on the chart, it's going to be very difficult for it to hit these levels and bounce. So we have to look at that. Because, there's the downtrend, there is the possibility that we continue into this downtrend. So we want to break this downtrend to start looking at an idea. So we want to hit this level. Most likely what's going to happen is the price action is going to hit this level, and then we want to see it bounce off this level right here. So I'm going to put because this is like the legendary trade right here. If we can nail this call, like we called the bottom of Bitcoin, we called you guys know, and we called the tops on like Polkadot, we called the bottoms on Polkadot, like we called everything big in the space, every single major opportunity in the space we covered. This could be an amazing opportunity, but you got to take advantage of it the right way. And there's a lot of room for it to run. So, cost-based averaging into it around these levels right here, like if it was to go to this level, and what you don't want to see, and what I'm talking about and why I'm bringing it up, is we could definitely hit this level, hit this measured move that we've been looking at for so long and charting, and we could hit this level, bounce, and then hit this level and come down lower. And then that would not obviously be the time to buy. So like I said, we can hit this level right here, and that's fine. And right now it hit our perfect Fibonacci extension level. So we've hit like, I don't know, like 10, I don't want to say 10, like 7 targets or something. We had target. We've been tracing this price action for a while. I think we might have even started first double top. I don't know, but we've been charting it. We've been calling all this, and it hit our target right here. That's fine. Another win for our small community, which is the best community, which is the most accurate community. It's another paradox in the crypto space. But we could hit this area and then go down. And if we do hit this area and come down, then again, this is a low. And right now, this is a higher low. And the second that it breaks this level, if it does, that would essentially be bearish. And I would be looking for, because this validated, we could potentially see something like this, or when in doubt, zoom out. And I mean, we've really been covering this. I know no other channel has really been covering this, but you got to cover this. This is like one of the most important charts in cryptocurrency by far. And it's like, should you buy Ethereum? Should you not buy Ethereum? We've been telling you guys that it's going to be underperforming against the entire cryptocurrency, like against everybody. We've been everybody's like draining their money into ETH. They're screaming from the rooftops it's undervalued, and we're like, guys, we get the fundamentals. Trust me, we get the fundamentals. But you can't ignore the charts. And we're looking for this bounce right here. And if we get this bounce and we get this level, then we can start to possibly start looking as a community into not financial advice, but into cost-based averaging, into Cardano, into Ethereum against Bitcoin. As in like buying Ethereum versus Bitcoin because it would outperform it. And we've called this whole time Ethereum has drastically underperformed Bitcoin, and we called it. And now, on the other side of the coin, let's see. And it was against the entire community. It was against everybody. Everybody was screaming from the rooftops that we were wrong. So we're looking for this level. We're looking for this level. And then once we get this level right here, my favorite 0.318 level, that 0.318 level, once we hit that level, we can negate this entire idea of a downtrend. And if we negate that entire idea of a downtrend and we break above it and hold above that level, then I can confidently say, okay, yeah, let's definitely start putting our money back into Ethereum possibly. And then really all we're looking at is watching this upper band right here. Because when in doubt, zoom out. And like we've covered all this and we've called every single micro pattern in this chart right here. But guys, zoom out. Look at the bigger picture. That's what I'm here for, really, more than anything. Anybody can tell you what's happening second to second. Of course, I could tell you what's happening second to second. But where you're really going to get the value is when you zoom out. And when you zoom out and you look at this giant megaphone pattern or, ascending wedge or whatever, you get this ginormous measured move. And when you get this ginormous measured move, this is really where this breakout of this consolidation pattern, that's really where it's going to shine. Is like, okay, we're being strategic, we're cost-based averaging in, as we gain confidence out of this downtrend. And then again, like if our line does break and we just hit our measured move, we could potentially be looking at these levels down here, or again, that Fibonacci extension, which has been accurate. We just hit that measurement. The price action right now is on our exact Fibonacci level extended. We're looking at this level right here. Or that 0.218 low. So we're looking at the price action. We're seeing how the price action interacts. I'm saying hold, guys. I'm saying hold. We need confirmation. But what I'm saying is don't FOMO in at this level. Do not FOMO in at this level because we don't know if it's going to bounce or not. And there's a downtrend right now, and it's just not, and it's in this megaphone formation. We have to assume that it's in this megaphone formation until it's not. And so don't FOMO in at this level, because even if you're the most conservative and you hit the top of this confirmed that we're out of the downtrend, like even if we hit this perfectly, we still have so much room on this megaphone to blast off through. You know what I'm saying? We have so much room. If you don't, getting down in right here and hitting this level is extremely high risk, extremely high reward. Don't bank on that. I mean, I wouldn't. That's not even close to my risk tolerance. And I'm not telling anybody on the community to hit this level and just limit order there. Yes, we're looking at this level. We're looking for a bounce. We're looking for a reversal off of this level and a confirmation that yes, we're reversing out of this downtrend that we've been in and this measured move, this double top that we've been looking at for so long. And then, like I said, be patient. If we hit it right here, I mean, you have all this right here, and then on top of it, you can convert back into Bitcoin or whatever if it bounces off of here. If it blasts through here and breaks above it and hits support, you're in an incredible position. There's plenty of room on this move to be conservative, is what I'm saying. And why hit it right here and risk some percentage loss when you can guarantee it up there? At the very least, start cost-based averaging in as we get confirmations. That's, again, not financial advice. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance real quick. But I woke up this morning and I was really frustrated because my phone blew up. Everybody's texting me about crypto. They're like, crypto this, crypto that. And I'm like, guys, I really don't care. I was in at 10K. I said it was going to 100,000 this year. Everybody thought I was clinically insane. They're like, how are you getting out of real estate? How do you know so much about real estate and you're going to lose real estate? How are you going to... Damn, our measured move looks really good. Looks like we hit our measured move. Nice. Or just about. So, I mean, this idea of this double bottom. But everybody was like, how are you know so much about real estate and you're just going to leave real estate and you're going to go into crypto and blah, blah, blah. And real estate wasn't the move. I told you guys, I knew what the moves were. And we made our money in real estate. That's cute. We're cool. Leverage some properties, get an undervalued property. The number one rule in real estate, I don't care what anybody says, is you get a property that's undervalued. The biggest thing that people lose money on in real estate is they just don't know what they're doing. They get in, they're arrogant, they think that they can just buy a property and it'll go up in value. And maybe it will, but you got to understand the macro patterns of the market. You got to understand the buying, selling. There's a lot to it. But anyways, I know more about real estate than I do about crypto. And everybody knows I'm one of the biggest crypto experts in the space and has outperformed everybody. But yeah, so crypto was a no-brainer, though. I had to get more diversified into crypto. But my point is this: people thought I was insane screaming that Bitcoin was going to 100,000 at 10,000. People thought I was insane. They're like, "Why are you leaving real estate?" And so when I wake up and Bitcoin's at 50,000, it's only halfway there. I really don't care. And so a lot of people are freaking out. They're like, Bitcoin's dropping, I'm like, I know. Did you not watch the channel? I told you it was going to drop. I told you 3 times it was going to drop. I told you that it was going to drop. I told you the exact levels it was going to go to. We called the drop. We called the bottom. We called the recovery. We called everything multiple times. And I just constantly get these text messages. And I'm just like, watch the channel. A lot of people think that I'm just going to sit down and tutor them on cryptocurrency. And that's originally why I made the channel to begin with. Is because that's not going to happen. I'm not going to sit down with every single person that's blowing up my phone and say, oh, so this is how Bitcoin works, and then I got to go drive over to somebody else's house. Oh, so this is how Bitcoin, I'm going to go drive over to somebody's house. So this is what we're looking, no, I'd rather just use the YouTube channel. And then I have this massive audience on Snapchat, and they just love hearing me talk. They don't even care about the freaking financial stuff. So I have a huge audience on Snap, and most of them don't come over to the channel. Most people just want to get rich quick. They don't actually want to listen. They don't actually want to learn. They don't want to actually do what it takes. They just want somebody to give them all the little answers. And I mean, we do that on the channel, and that's what the channel is here for. But yeah, it's a big learning lesson when you have so many people texting you, trying to get all the answers. And it's like, weren't you laughing at me when I said Bitcoin was going to 100K when it was at 10K? Everybody was laughing at me. Everybody. It was ridiculous. All right, so I'm looking at this target next. This is on total. Total is absolutely massive if you're newer to the channel. This is what you have to look at. But so like when I get these text messages and people are like, is it the top? Is it over? And it's like, guys, if I said it's going to 100K and it's only at 50K right now, I mean my whole prediction thing, and it's not really a prediction, but and could it hit more than 100K? Absolutely. I'm not like a bear. I'm not pessimistic, but I was like, it's gonna hit 100,000 this year. Let's go blue. So when I get people blowing up my phone and they're like this and that, and it's like, I told you guys. I told you guys already. And it's just crazy. I probably told like at least 300 people. And so like so many people I talk to, I'll run into them and they'll be like, you're that guy that was talking about cryptocurrency. And then they try and talk to me about cryptocurrency. Stupid. And when I was making like insane money, like Bitcoin was going up like crazy. I go into the Marine recruiter's office because I want to be in special forces, and because like money is whatever. But like when I was little, I wanted to be special forces. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to run all these businesses, invest in all this stuff. Well, anyway, so one of my goals was to be in special forces. So I go into the Marine recruiter's office, and they're laughing so hard at me. And then I'm going to MEPS, and like I'm trying to be as humble as possible. I'm like, yeah, I get it sounds silly, this whole cryptocurrency thing, but I made all this money in crypto, and I just, it's always been my dream to go into special forces, and I'm just kind of looking to go in, and they're like laughing at me and stuff, and I'm talking about Bitcoin, and they're literally laughing. All of them are laughing at me, and then most of them are like laughing like behind my back, and then I like look over and I'm like, I get it, guys, like it sounds stupid or whatever, but I was in stocks, I was in real estate, I was looking at all these other asset classes on top of it, and Bitcoin just makes the most sense. I was saying this back when I don't remember how much it was when I went into the recruiter's office, but it was starting to get up there. And then like they're laughing at me. And then like as I'm driving home from MEPS, I get my phone back, and I was doing a swing trade, and it was like a $20,000 swing trade, and I'm up like 10% on it, and I made like $2,000, and I'm just screaming, like I can't even like hold in my excitement in the car, and I'm just screaming at like in the back seat. I'm looking at my phone. I'm just screaming in the back seat. I'm like, oh my gosh, it just hit new all-time highs again. Oh my gosh, it just broke new all-time highs again. This is literally what was happening in the back of the recruiter's car. And they were looking at me because I was just making like hundreds of dollars like every minute, and it was just breaking all-time highs after all-time highs, and I had a perfect long position, and they were just like, fuck my life. They were like, fuck my life. They were like, we were so freaking mean to this kid, and he was so humble, and he was just like as humbly as possible trying to say that like he did the research, he looked at all the opposition, he did the research, and he was just trying to explain that he wanted to go into the reserves specifically because he has a Bitcoin career that they were laughing about, and that he can only do reconnaissance because he doesn't want to miss this cycle. And it's not like he was like bragging about it or anything. He just was simply explaining that he's very passionate about cryptocurrency and that he didn't want to miss this entire cycle. But it was always his dream to be in special forces, so. And yeah, they were like, fuck my life. That's what they were thinking. And then, I come in, a few days later, and it's probably like a few weeks later, and they're asking me about crypto, and they're asking me about Dogecoin and all this stuff, and I talked to them about it. But yeah, so like everybody was laughing. I don't think there was anybody that took me seriously. Like just everybody. Hundreds of people. They straight like ignored me, they straight whatever. They were like, yeah, Bitcoin, whatever. So yeah, this was a symmetrical triangle right here, and even when you measure the move on the symmetrical triangle, because you take the measured move from the 2 points where it hits, so you have the 3 touch points on it, and you can see it. This is a really, really, really clean trend line. So, and I mean, obviously this dump was obvious. The fact that I was the only channel on the internet to call all 3 of them is just ridiculous. But you have 1, 2, 3. I don't know how many. There's more. The 3. This alone makes it valid, but this is a valid symmetrical triangle, and then even the measured move on this is overextended. So there was always the possibility that we hit this measured move, wick, and then come back up. It did break below it, and let's see. But yeah, I hope this is more just like I told my audience, I said stay out of the market. So I hope everybody's just chilled out, We're waiting, or everybody's getting massacred out here. This is kind of just like Noah's Ark. We're not really concerned on the charts. Nobody should be longing. Nobody should be shorting. I was very clear about that to my audience multiple times. So, let's see. Nice. So yeah, I was looking for something like that, and it looks like it did hit. This is the EMA. Is this a 200? You guys know the military legally classifies me as colorblind. I'm pretty sure that's blue. I'm not even joking. Like, it's not like it's like shading that really does it for me. Like I can see all the, if people, whenever I say I'm colorblind, people are like, what colors can't you see? I think my recruiter even asked me that in the car. He's like, what? I'm like, I tried so hard on that test. It's the shading of the color. So like I can see like blues and stuff, but if it's like a bluish purple, I can't tell the difference. But I'm pretty sure this is like a blue, and it looks like it just overshot it a little bit on the EMA exponential weighted on the 4-hour, and that number is going to be the 200 exponential weighting moving average, and it looks like it just overshot it a little bit on extension on the 4-hour. So, but then at the same time, like, am I saying that like it's gonna go back up and just shoot? I'm not saying that for a multitude of reasons. Right here, you look at this, you find resistance. You look at this, you find resistance. If anything, it would find resistance again before potentially heading lower. But it has to at least break this resistance that it's in temporarily, and this is going to be the 100 EMA exponential weighted moving averages. But yeah, I'm sure everybody in crypto has like some stories like that. Like I remember BitBoy got bullied a lot, and it was always really cool to see his channel blow up. People thought he was like nuts. People thought he was nuts. And so it's good to see he's doing well. Because like I was an OG. I was following his channel before nearly anybody. And, I would hear him talk about everything. And I was like, I like this guy. Like, he believes in everything I believe in, Not from like a belief standpoint, but like, if you really know what you're talking about, if you know what's going on, stand on what you believe in. Don't waver. People were saying Bitcoin was going to drop back down to 8,000 or 9,800 on the CME gap back when I was buying heavy. Like I was draining bank accounts. And I said, listen, worst case scenario, it does fill that CME gap at 9,800. And, the OGs from like from this cycle, I've been in all the cycles, but from this cycle specifically, the OGs that remember, because everybody's so new to crypto now. Um, that 9,800 CME gap. There's always going to be FUD, but like if you really believe in it, we have a saying in crypto for a reason. It's called HODL. So HODL means to no matter what, don't sell your bags. Um, yeah. So and in 2017 there were 30 something percent crashes. Hold. And we had multiple of them. So, I mean, if you're not in a trade right now and you're hodling, like, I just don't see anything that's really, So, this stream was really chill, but the only people that would be stressing out are the people that aren't a part of my community because we already know what's good. We already explain everything. Like people are like, why did Elon Musk talk about Dogecoin? Well, it was to get people involved in the cryptocurrency space. He needs more money to flow in. Nice. We're just hitting targets like applesauce. I told you guys these would be valid, these would be relevant sooner or later. Okay, let's put this down. Let's delete this one. Boom. So we could hit this moving average and then move lower. What are we at? 48. So like really when you understand like the market psychology, like what's going on? Oh crap, that was important. Oh well. We're down a line. All right, so it looks like we might have a cross right here. Is this a? I'll take a look at it in a second, but this looks like it could be a bearish cross, which would push the price down, and it's on the 4 hour. So what you have constantly, and this is like just basic market psychology, is you have these ginormous dumps and the price dumps. And then basically sellers take profits, people do all sorts of stuff, and basically they breathe and then they come down, and then they breathe and then they go down, and then they breathe and then they come down. So we could still be breathing. Let's take a quick look at this right here. How many different moving averages? Oh, we just have this in super trend. So let's turn off super trend for a second. So this is going to be the EMA 20. And it looks like it's crossing again, guys. I'm seriously colorblind. EMA 20 and the 50. Yeah, so those colors weren't too hard. So if these cross right here on the 4 hour, it's relatively significant, and all this shows is basically an incentivization to move down further. So we're looking for a cross. As price action continues to hold below these levels, if that continuates, then this line right here is going to cross this line right here. And it's called a bearish cross. And that bearish cross is supposed to drop the market. If it doesn't drop the market, then that would be a strong sign that the bulls are in charge and that we could possibly be reversing. Let's see. Let's take a look at that zoomed out chart. Oh, we have a bunch of questions. I'll look at the zoomed out chart in a second. Keep going. I could do that. Yeah, no, it's really bad. So like I can show some links, but like a lot of the like real content, like there's a lot of content, they'll literally do what's called shadow banning, which I'm sure everybody knows, and a lot of the content does get shadow banned. That's an absolute fact. Do you think Bitcoin will go down to 41? So this is how it works, and this is like what any major channel will tell you. The short-term price action is we say it starts on the minute chart and works its way out to the larger time frames, and then the larger time frames dictate the overall move of the market. But so we're really just looking to see how price action interacts, and we have to take it level by level. And we really need to, and I'm zooming out and more so looking at the micro time frames in a second to really get a good understanding. Because when you look at the macro time frames, it's a lot easier to figure out what's going to happen, and it's just going to take a second to get there. So like if you look at the weekly, the monthly, the daily, it usually always plays out because those are the more massive micro moves. It just takes a little bit longer to play those moves out. So we'll look at that in a second. But essentially, like nobody really knows how long this dip is going to last. All we can look at is the technical analysis that would show that we're either out of the dip or not out of the dip. And like I said before, we drew lines, last night, the night before, and I was like, we're clearly not out of the dip. And then we dipped again. And right now, I'm not even looking at a reversal idea right now. But let's start looking at a reversal idea or, so yeah, everybody always say this, bought back in after the price fell rather. I actually sold, XLM. Yeah, I mean, just with Bitcoin, we always recommend hodling because some news could come out or something, and then you can't really lose in Bitcoin like I covered over the long term if you hold. Like it's up 9 million% since conception, and it's more bullish than ever because it's that paradox that once it goes up in price, now all of a sudden everybody wants it, and it's like, why didn't you guys want it when it was 10K or whatever? But when it was 100K, it was massively underdeveloped. Like there wasn't the audience for it. There wasn't the use case that there was for it now. I actually sold off my XLM last night. So XLM. I always talk to people about XLM. Somebody was trying to talk to me about XLM today. I mean, you know. Let's see. So let's go to the more macro time frames. I'm not like super like, LO 9 million%. Yeah, it's way more than 9 million% because you got to think that it was very like, I don't know, like they used like a ton of them to buy a pizza at one time. Everybody knows that story. But yeah, it was really cheap. It was really cheap, and it's up like 9 million%, like at least. Like a while back, it was up 9 million%, so it's probably up more than that. Is this the more macro time frames, and we're just on the 4 hour? I think this is. And then I'll show you guys another chart that I'm looking at next time. Not like because it's like an episode thing and it's like tune in till the next episode, but I just have to go relatively soon, and you don't need to know the information like right now because it has to do with the daily candlestick closes. Like I said, a lot of these daily candlesticks are going to affect the closes of these daily candlesticks are going to affect the price action. Okay, so let's see. So we hit that level, 44, still a big play. And then this is obviously huge right here. And the charts, is like how much VPR support is really here. There's not very much VPR support. There's not a lot of previous price action. There's not a lot of resistance at this area to flip support. But the charts would absolutely look gorgeous. And I have to say this because everybody's saying, well, what happens if we just hit 42.17 and bounce? We could, but really when you have a bounce, you're looking for price action to interact with something like this. You clearly see resistance. So there's a lot of resistance in this area. And because there's a lot of resistance in this area, you would look for a potential bounce on it. Whereas this is just one wick. And a lot of people are saying, oh, it could bounce at 42. It could. And that would just basically show that there's more so than anything, more so than technical analysis, it would just show that there's a lot of buying demand if it did bounce and fully retrace at that level. But everybody's covering 42, but I really want to talk about like the specific technical analysis and not just give you random numbers that everybody else is throwing around. The potential for it to hit this area is also really strong just because I would bank on this area from a fundamental standpoint. Again, the market just might be absurdly bullish and bounce at this level. And if it did, the charts would look absolutely gorgeous. The charts would literally look absolutely gorgeous because you would have like a perfect, oh my gosh. All right, well, there's a few things I see here. One of them is definitely Elliott wave and the impulse corrective, impulse corrective, impulse corrective wave. The other thing I see here is an uptrend, a perfect uptrend. So right here we have low and then we have a high. Let's just go over the highs first. Obviously you have a high, higher high, higher high, low, higher low, higher. It's very obvious, but it would perfectly, this like zigzag is like perfectly what you would see in an uptrend from a textbook. So you would see one, two, or so you would see like this zigzag formation. And so if the price action was to come down here and perfectly rest right here and then blast off from there, like that would be gorgeous. That would be absolutely gorgeous if we could hit something like that. If that does not happen and we come over, we come right here, we come all the way down and we start interfering with this ginormous symmetrical triangle or falling wedge that we covered for like the longest time. It's really hard to see the graphs. All right, so I mean this was like, and this is on the daily, and we were drawing like the higher lows, lower lows, like this symmetrical triangle idea. But if we were to come to this area right here and then also break this neckline right here, this would be a ginormous double top. And so if we didn't, now it would only be remember, you know, we got to cover technical analysis. We're not just going to say some chart pattern and clickbait everybody and give FUD or whatever. We're going to cover this. So like I'm telling you guys what you need to know, because yeah, I said that if we come down to like 30,000, it could be, you know, a double top formation. We would have to hold. We would have to close. We would have to have a daily candle close below 30,000 for there to start to be concern. If we have a daily close below 30,000, then this idea of a double top, so you have one top right here, you have one top right here, and then you have the price action come in from the bottom, that would be a concern. And to me, because I don't just tell you guys everything that happens. I'm just saying, like, worst case scenario, we hit 30,000, we close, this is a double top. I don't think that's going to happen, but when you really zoom out and you look at what's going on and where we are in the market and is the cycle over, because we constantly get those questions, constantly, like on the cell phone, like, let me just pull up a few for a second. Should I? I mean, I know you guys believe me, because like obviously if I'm going around running around telling everybody about crypto at 10K, like we have massive just, let me see. I'll just show one because I'm not going to go on the phone all day and so blurry. But just all day. And there's probably people watching that are like, yeah, I texted them. It's hard to see. Maybe you can see it. I'll put it up, but I'm not trying to get the numbers and stuff. But this guy's like, you're a stock prodigy or whatever. You were telling me at like whatever. And it's not stocks, but whatever. I'll take the compliment. I said I appreciate it. But I told him to get into Cardano, like, I told him to get into Cardano a ton at like 10 cents, and then I sent him a link, and then we checked the date on it, and that was when it was at like 50 cents. But I told him about it multiple times before that. It's like, get into it. I'm like, just, I'm trying to help people out, just get into Cardano. And I even sent him a link. I did that for so many people. And like none of them took it, just to let you know. Like none of the people where I was like, hey, check out Coinbase, like I don't really care about like the referral reward or whatever, like just check it out because they're giving away free cryptocurrency. So like the whole thing on Coinbase, and I can't, like I said, we don't chill anything on here, so I can't give you a referral code because that goes against what the channel's about. So you'd have to get it from somebody else. or just sign up yourself through Coinbase Rewards. But there at one point, I don't know exactly how it's structured now because it's been so long. But at one point, you could go on Coinbase on rewards, and you could watch videos, and you would earn $3 worth of cryptocurrency. Like and like as somebody that's experienced in the space, like it took me seconds to answer these questions, and like you just answer a question and you earn like $1 worth of cryptocurrency per question you answer. It was like an absolute no-brainer. And yeah, and so I earned like probably like 120 an hour. It took me like an hour and I earned like $60. So half an hour or an hour or whatever for $60. And then that currency that I bought back then is worth probably conservatively 5 times, 10 times like those coins, whatever I got back then. And I told everybody that. I'm like, it's not like you're just earning $60 an hour. It's like it's going to be worth a lot more and you don't have to do anything. Just hold it. And like I was like, this is a perfect way to get diversified into cryptocurrency. Like I tried to help people so much. I promise. I tried so hard. I didn't give up on anybody. That's why I made this channel. I'm like, there's literally no risk. You just like, you literally get paid for it and then you can be exposed to crypto and there's no risk. You don't have to pull any of your own money out. So the other thing is, yeah, we look at Fibonacci levels. Yeah, we look at support resistance areas. And then the other thing that we obviously look at is the moving averages. So what we do is we start on the 4 hour. Let's see if there's any more on the 4 hour. And there's EMAs and there's MAs. Carl the Moon and I kind of have the same preference. I look at EMAs. Carl the Moon looks at EMAs, and then MAs more so specifically on like the daily. Jeez. So it looks like the let's see. Let me turn this up a little bit. Let me turn up the brightness. Colors are blending in together. All right, that's fine. So coming down right here and then bouncing it is definitely an idea. At this level, I just like drew for you guys. So that's definitely an idea, and that's on the 4 hour, and then that's going to be the last moving average on the 4 hour that we could potentially find to support. Let's take a look. So then we would go to the daily. And then we have this area right here, which I drew. And then, I mean, we're not going to look at this. I mean, you know, it's at 33, whatever. We got all this to deal with. And this was forever. There is a lot of VPR support. I remember this crap. Everybody's screaming it's the top, and that was just a headache. I'm getting my car washed, and I'm trying to help somebody out, to help him out with cryptocurrency, and he's telling me to sell my entire bag, and he had no clue about cryptocurrency, and he's like, what did he say? He's like, my friend was going to get into it, but it was too high. And I was like, okay. And he's like, well, you need to sell. And what was it back here? I think it was before that. I think it was like 30. It went like to 32, like right here or something. Yeah. And then, no, but the worst part is I went down. I took my seat. I was waiting for my car to get washed. And I hear this guy like he is looking at the price on his phone, and the price drops to like, I think it was right here, and the price tanks. And he's like telling his friend, he's like, I told him to sell. I told him to sell. These kids, I'm like, I literally called it on my channel that it was going to drop, and he doesn't know that. I'm just telling him to get involved in the space. Like, I knew that it was going to drop, and he's like, I told him to sell. I told him to sell. And it wasn't even the bottom. And I was like, you know, it's fine. He was like talking smack to the other coworker about me when I was just trying to help him out with crypto. And I was like, like, oh, I would get involved with it or whatever, because he was interested in crypto, and I was like, oh yeah, like I would recommend it or whatever, and like I hold some, and I still recommend holding, and then it drops, and then he's like saying, I told you so, I told you. Just trying to be nice and help you out, man. Like, if you don't know anything about cryptocurrency, why are you gonna just think you know everything? The worst part was that I called the dump. But yeah, I have so many stories. It's ridiculous. Everybody thinks they're a crypto expert all of a sudden because they heard about Bitcoin or they bought in at like 30,000 and now everybody's all of a sudden an expert. I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. But it's like I always say, and I'm going to continue to say it on the channel, it's like in a bull market, anybody can win. And when all the trends are stacked up in your favor, like the trends have been really stacked up in the favor recently, and it just new all-time high after new all-time high. So like when the trends are stacked up in your favor, to, um, it's really easy to win. When the stock market, when it's all stacked up in your favor, constantly setting higher highs, it's really easy to win. It's really easy to pick a stock that's going to win when they're all going up. It's really easy to pick a altcoin that's going to win when they're all going up. You got to know the cycles though. And that's where the real skill comes in, and that's going to be the difference between people giving back their money and not giving back their money. It's like in this circumstance, where there's drops and there's weak hands and there's people selling, just like the guy at the gas station that was telling me to sell at 30,000. Everybody can win when it's going up. As soon as it starts its corrections and then major corrections, that's where the skill comes in, and that's where the market keeps its money. And the unskilled people, they start losing. I'm gonna go here in a second, but let's go on one more chart to look at it. I'm trying to figure out because we already have we have Coinbase chart, we have Bybit chart, we have Oh yeah, but this has the scam wick. Obviously the price action didn't come down here. I'm trying to find another chart that we can a clean chart. I think Femex or Bittremex. Do we already have charts on here? Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's so cute. I told you, I was like, I'm gonna make the TA really simple. Okay, Bittremex. Jeez, we are just really charting. That's fine, we'll use this one. Did we call it again? We're just good. We are good. Sometimes I'll just look at these charts and I'll draw them out for you guys and I'll talk about them for a little bit and I'll come back to them and then it's just ridiculous. Okay, so let's take a look at this. I'm just gonna zoom out really quick, get a full larger term, mid-term but larger term perspective. This is the next day or 2 days. So we're just going to draw this out, and then this is just going to be our daily chart that we look at for the shorter term. We'll just give the exact TF time frame. It's the next day, the next 2 days, what's going on with Bitcoin. Is it going to correct? Is it not going to correct? This is going to be the chart that we're going to look at, and then we have the macro charts, and then I'll start getting into the shorter term charts with you, but I just really want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the perspective because the price is going to go up, it's going to go down, but it's going to go down most likely, and then it's going to go back up. And when you look at the larger time frames, the midterm, they're all going to be saying something different. On the larger time frames, we're still very healthy. On the midterm time frames, like the daily, we're looking a little bearish. On the weekly, there's concern, but we don't have that close yet, so I'm going to cover all that. All right, so, we can't think about a reversal idea. We can't think about a reversal idea until it hits at least 52. or not 52, around 50. And then, but guys, I have to tell you guys, because like a lot of you guys hear those numbers and then you like set limit orders there and say, oh, 50,260 limit order. But what happens, and a lot of channels do this, but I'm making sure that you guys don't get wrecked. I'm not gonna play the victim and say, oh, my audience just didn't understand me. No, you're gonna understand me, because I'm gonna make it very clear. We have to come above this area, and at least we can't hit this area, and then because we can easily come up to this area, wick it, and then hit it as resistance and continue down. There's nothing saying that that's not out of the possibilities. What we want to see, to start to look for, you guys got to understand my lingo, like my exact words, to start to look for a reversal, to start to get some insight on the markets that we're starting to reverse out of this dump. We have to have a 4-hour candlestick close above this level. And then we can look at the idea of a possible reversal. And so this is on this swing high to this swing low. The other way that we can look at it is just on the daily. That's probably the best. Let's just keep it with that. That's fine. That's more the macro time frames, and I like that a lot. So let me see if there's any questions, and then I gotta go. But I hope this video was helpful, and I hope this gave you like perspective and like insight that you're never gonna find anywhere else on the internet. Do you think that the Coinbase Pro would be a good investment? It 100% depends on how much you're investing, how much you're trading, things like that. Like for me personally, like I can only really speak on myself and give you that insight. I hold money on Coinbase, and then I'll trade between the different coins. And because I already have the money uploaded to Coinbase, I trade Coinbase. Like that's the main thing I use Coinbase for, is I feel safe holding my money on Coinbase, because they say, you know, if anything happens or whatever, and it's not the problem of your password, unless you like your password gets hacked or whatever, like if it's not on your negligence, then Coinbase will cover whatever money. They'll cover whatever money. So, you know, I carry a lot of money on Ledger. I carry some money on Coinbase. And with my Coinbase account, for me personally, what I like to do is I like to trade the different, like I can trade like XRP, or not XRP, I can trade like Stellar Lumens and Uni, and you know, we go over all those charts. So like if one of those charts looks bearish, I'll look for the measured move on it, hit the measured move, and then I'll transfer it into another account. So like, for example, like I said, Uniswap was very undervalued. And so what I did is I took some of my money, I forget where it was in one of my other coins, and I transferred it to Uniswap. And I said, Uniswap's so undervalued, and it went up 24%. Then I took the profits from that 24% move, and then I don't even remember what we called next. But every time I'm like, oh, this is like the altcoin or whatever, I will take my altcoins that already pumped, like Uniswap pumped, and then I'll pump it into the next big one. Like we called the bottom and the top on, what was it, Link. And so like just whatever coins I'm looking at, like, and we cover them all in the channel. You know, it's like ADA, and unfortunately you can't buy ADA on, but it just depends. Like that's what I use Coinbase for. It just depends on what you're trying to use Coinbase for and how much money you have. Because like Coinbase Pro is like, it's for some people obviously, but like for me personally, like I use multiple different exchanges for multiple different things. So like last night I bought some Cardano, just cost-based averaged in a very small portion of my buying power into Cardano. I bought some Cardano on Binance US, and that was really easy to set up. Their KYC laws, their Know Your Customer laws were really quick, because Crypto.com liquidity was suffering last night. And I was like, there was this giant drop last night, which you guys all know about. And I'm like at the gym, like looking at all the charts with my buddy. Like he's not looking at the charts, he's working out with me, but I'm like, have my cell phone on and it's got trading view, and I'm watching all the different charts. I'm like, I want to cost base average into crypto, or I want to cost base average into Cardano, and crypto.com, the liquidity froze and my account was frozen, and it had nothing to do with me. They didn't have the liquidity and the account crashed. And Coinbase.com, like the account will crash. And the worst thing that can happen is if you know there's a bottom on like a dip, not that like I was cost base averaging in and I didn't spend that much money on Cardano, but if like let's say that you know the bottom of this Bitcoin dip and then Coinbase crashes and you can't buy at the bottom of the dip, like that would be massively frustrating. So I have multiple different exchanges for multiple different reasons. The biggest reason I went with Binance US last night is because it was just really quick. Their liquidity is good. Their reliability is decent. But I use Kraken, Coinbase. I use all of them for different reasons. If I want to make a very massive swing trade, I'm a United States citizen, so if I want to make a very massive swing trade that I don't want to be risky about on Bybit, I'll go low leverage on Kraken. And like I said before, a lot of the reasons why I use Kraken is like I can have my Bybit account open and I can have my Kraken account open, and I can do two trades at one time. So like if I'm like, oh, I really want to take advantage of this 10x leveraged like symmetrical triangle, I'll open on Bybit, I'll open my 10x leveraged long with a tight stop loss on the symmetrical triangle at the take profits and stop loss areas that I'm looking at. And then if I'm like, but I know the greater move is going to be, to the upside, what I'll do is I'll open another trade on Kraken that's low leveraged. So I'm taking, the possibility of gaining more money with the smaller risk, high leverage trade, but then I'm also have the swing trade open that's secure. So I'm high risk and low risk at the same time and taking advantage of both of those situations, which you can't do on Bybit. On Bybit, you can only have one leverage. So I use both of those accounts. And for Binance US has a lot of coins. So I use all the different exchanges. When you talk to me about like, what's your favorite exchange, or should I do this or should I do that? I use all the different exchanges, and I don't have any premium memberships. I don't have a Binance premium membership. I don't have a Coinbase premium membership. I don't have any of the premium memberships, and I'm totally satisfied. I don't think I need any of that. Okay. But yeah, so that's all I can say is on what I do, and I don't have any of that. And like I'm trading like you guys know that I'm not a small pond fish, whatever. So I think that would work for everybody, and that's what I would recommend more than anything. But if I don't know exactly like what you're using, yo, what's up? So yeah, we're looking good. My only concern is on the weekly chart. If we get a weekly candlestick close, or if somehow we went to 30,000 and closed on the daily. So very, very few concerns right now, especially like if we just hit 40, if we just hit 42, then we're good. But yeah, I covered all the TA earlier, but my main point this whole thing is that I'm not really concerned, and that everybody knows to stay out of it. So, and I did cover the levels or whatever that we can start looking to get back in. So yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta go. But yeah, everything's looking good. I'm not stressed out. The community knows not to be in trades right now. We'll tell you guys when to get back in, and just hodl.